All right, I'm gonna jump over to something about you said. You said I'm not working today. I was at the premiere yesterday for Isaiah Kane's release of Fairfax Incident, starring Kat. You know, my sometimes co-host, my dog, Talksmackwithmac, fucking alumni.
Nice.
And Cooper Nelson, they did a fantastic job. But when the movie went to go start, you know, the host said, "All right, and enjoy the movie." Press play, nothing happened. And they had to stop for about a solid 8 to 12 minutes and try to figure out what the hell is happening. And in my mind, it's like, okay, I direct a podcast. So I'm like, oh my God, what if it didn't buffer all the way or something like that? And all of these people showed up. And you're like, I'm so sorry, folks. Like, you have to come back another time. People are flying from out of town and all of that shit. So I know the anxiety's bubbling up. And it's like, holy fuck, just play, motherfucker. I checked this 75 times before we started.
This is the time that is not working.
Yeah, and I was sitting there and I was like, oh my God, it feels good to not have to worry. Like, I totally understand what you're going through, man. I really hope this movie plays. I'm sending my director prayers to you.
I'm telling you, in the last movie that we did, and it was in the theater, we checked it a week before, 3 days before, an hour before, everything good. The movie played flawless all the way to half of the movie because I guess the movie was too heavy that it just was catching, like the actual plane was catching up to it.
Yeah.
So like right in the middle, it crashed.
Oh my God.
Right in the middle. And it actually was a really good sign because people were like, you know, like we were like,
because they're invested.
Yeah, like now you're good, which made me feel really good. But at the same time, I was like literally calling everybody, like, what the fuck is, you know?
Fix this.
Especially the person right above. I can see them, like just like the shadows in the back, like running around. And I'm like, what's happening? And then they just pause it, let it buffer a little bit. And then we have no problem.
Oh, thank goodness.
But this time around, we're not doing that. We just send it directly to them, and then they're taking care of it. I am taking my computer just in case.
Have 7 backups,
you know,
I have a flash drive, USB.
Care.
What do
we
you
have
need?
A flash drive. We have their computer. We have my computer. Something should work. But
that's called experience, right there.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah, you've been there, you've done that, and it's scary as hell.
Especially when you have eyes looking at you, right? Because everybody, as a director, everybody kind of looks at you and expects an answer, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, what do I do? Even if they know that the thing to do is the most natural thing, like walk or breathe or smell or
they're still gonna ask.
They're like,
because when that pressure gets going, it's like the guy with the keys are the ones that's gonna dictate and tell you where to go.
Yeah, no, I completely. So I get it, but you understand.
You have those mistakes. You know, they happen. It comes with growth. And you said, what am I going to do? Just say, a lot of people just say, all right, fine, I'm done. I'm never going to do that again.
Screw this.
I don't want to face the embarrassment. I don't want to redo the hard work. I don't want to go through the process again because I know how much I struggled to get to this point. And I have to do it again and I have nothing to show for it. That's one way of looking at it. I had when I first started doing a podcast, my boy Evan, he got on, big Laker fan, and we talked some good Laker talk, man. We crushed it, right?
Nice.
And I had no idea what formatting a card was.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, my memory. I go to upload it to my laptop, and I'm like, oh man, the memory card is full. Let me format it. You know, get rid of all this shit, and you know, I didn't really know what was happening, right? Formatted that thing. I was like, I think I just fucked up.
You know, it's that feeling.
And
right
your stomach just dropped.
It's just like, I don't, like my brain is telling me something, but I can't understand what just happened. Like, I'm just like, I play sports a lot. Like, I broke my arm. I have a crocodile right here now. And when I broke my arm, it broke in 2 pieces. I have 2 metal plates in here, 12 screws.
Damn.
When it broke, I keep playing. I didn't know it was broken.
The adrenaline was going.
I didn't know it was broken. I just started running, and everybody stopped. And I'm just like, I don't feel good. I know I don't feel good, but for whatever reason, I gotta keep going.
Yeah.
So until you realize, you know, your arm is broken, then at that point you're like, oh. And then you kind of start processing it. But it's the same thing with this career. Like, we just do things, and then sometimes they work really well. Sometimes they don't work at all. You just got to keep going, you know? Like, it's just the business. It's just the thing. And honestly, I wouldn't even apply it to, like, anything in life.
I was like, yeah, for sure.
It's just what it is. Like,
shit is going to happen.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, like, when you're a kid, you want to be an adult. And then you're an adult, and you're like, nah, I want to be a kid.
Because we learn what responsibilities are.
You're like, oh, okay, so that's what that means, right? So... It's I think it's life. Like, people who say, oh, well, you done this thing. And, you know, like people look at what I've done and like my films and everybody, nobody sees like that little short film with an iPhone, right? Or that little script that I wrote for a friend who wanted to do a thing. It never happened. You know, like people don't see the waking up and try to figure out, okay, well, I have a scene with 20 people. I got to make sure these 20 people are here, you know? And even if 18 of them are just backgrounds, I still need to reach out to those 18 people and make sure that their lives is adjusted and scheduled for my life.
Yeah.
And if their life is not a schedule for my life, then I got to figure that out, you know? And then you get there and guess what? There's 19 people. And you're like, okay, well, I can make it work with 19 people. But one person that's missing is the main role. You know what I mean? So then it's like, what do you do? Yeah. So it's like, people don't see those like journeys to get you to whatever you want to do. You know, like I was telling you with the podcast, mad respect just because getting it done, it's the biggest thing. Like I've been invited to a lot of talks and a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm starting my project. And it's not a matter of like getting it started because honestly, you can get it started 30 times. That's not a problem. It's being consistent enough to be able to say, hey, I am doing this thing. It's not started. It's just I'm going to do the next thing, whatever that is. In this case, it's episodes, you know, and like we were talking earlier, with all the madness that happened today to you, you're still here. Yeah. You're still talking in front of me. That is the thing that people don't see. And I hope that obviously people who work in this thing and all the craziness that we have to go through can understand a little bit of like, wow, I like that movie, but you don't know why. Just understand that there was a lot of things that happened, not for the project, for that day. Yeah. That day, people, you know, I mean, when the film that we made for You Day, it rained. It rained in the middle of spring, like just, oh, it's going to be a rainy day. That was the only day that it rained here in Vegas. I did not think it was going to rain that day at all. All my equipment was in the open of my pickup truck. Like, I had to get there early. I had to set everything up, you know, and it was just like, okay, it rained today. Let's make sure that I can save my equipment, and then we'll figure it out. You know, luckily, we didn't have to do it outside, but, you know, it's one of those things. Like, you just kind of keep going.
The variables that you cannot control.
You choose to either be upset about it or to learn from it, right? Like, it sucked, you know. You figured out the situation with your garage, you know, but you figured that out. Like, honestly, you just passed that knowledge to me where I'm like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to
check if you can open it, right?
Because that's crazy. Like, nobody thinks about these things until it happens, right? Yeah. So it's the same thing with film. Like, you try to think of everything, every possible outcome that you can possibly think of, and then one more.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
And a lot of that comes with experience. Like, something simple. For your first film, how the hell can you make a shot list? I'm assuming because you assisted on many films and you paid attention or you Googled a lot or you just put a lot of ideas or thought to it. But like you said, some variables you're still not going to be ready for. So do you just try your best?
But ultimately, right, you got to try your best. However, like for your first time doing something like that, my shot list, let's call it, I always said this, I have 3 movies. I have the movie that I want, I have the movie that I give, and I have the movie that we finish. So when you make a shot list, I always think it as a wish list. It's more or less okay, what do I want, right? Like, what would be the thing that I'm like, oh, I want this dolly in here, and I want this beautiful whatever, and right? That would be your shot list. And then you get to location, and it's like, yeah, we can't do that thing here. So then you kind of adjust it as you go.
For whatever reason, space or blocking just doesn't fit.
I spent so much money on a dolly. One of the biggest pieces of equipment I have. And when
like a little old dolly?
Yeah, like a dolly. It's you push it in a little bit.
Oh, okay, got you.
To make the kind of flat. Flat. Okay. And we got there, and the ground had this really thin edges where every time you push over any pressure, the camera would do this.
Oh.
And we're like, oh, we gotta fix it. So we brought things in it. We put like little like blankets and stuff to kind of hold it. Didn't work. So I had 2 options. Everybody's waiting for me, right? I have 2 options. You either figure it out and you gotta be okay with this shot moving like that, or you take it off, sacrifice a shot, and say, all right, what's gonna be the next best thing? And that's kind of what it go. Literally, that's kind of how it's always been down to. But you get it with experience and learning. Because when I started, again, I had an iPhone and I have a camera, and it was a DSLR that only took pictures. But for whatever reason, this particular camera, they had it to where it can take low quality video. It was like 720 or whatever. And I was like, dude, I can make it happen. So I recorded my first short film ever with an iPhone and a camera DSLR that was for pictures, not even for video.
Hell yeah,
you know,
man.
and I didn't know anything about frame rates and, you know, like anything about freaking, and you just put it in, and it was really choppy and weird, and the resolutions were different, so you couldn't even edit it. Like it was, you know, like one was a smaller square than the other one. It was crazy. But if I didn't do that,
You would have never learned.
I would have never been here.
It's a stepping stone.
Yeah,
Like you said before, the easiest thing is starting, but doing is really hard. Boy, you better watch my. That's what happens when you have a dog in the damn
It's a great dog,
in the
dude.
area.
I'll tell you that.
Watch my blocking. Watch my camera, boy.
Yeah, I'll reframe myself. There you go. That's good. You're good.
All right,
It happened.
This dude.
It's fine.
What was I saying?
So you were just talking about like, so shot list, first thing you said. And then we just went over like, you know, why.
Oh well,
It
yeah.
doesn't matter,
Yeah, learning on as you go.
Learn to fly.
And
I agree.
You're gonna have those falls, man. You're gonna have those falls, and facing adversity. I feel like that's gonna come with anything that you do.
I'll tell you though, there's projects where I have put my salt and everything into that project, whatever that was. And I went home and thinking like, oh my God, this is gonna be the best thing I ever made. And it turned out to be the worst thing I ever made. You know, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like that's just how it has to be. You know, we did a little short film that was never intended to be out for me. Day one, I saw it always as in like, I want to utilize this time to learn my craft.
Yeah.
So I brought
Get those
actors.
reps in.
Yeah, I brought actors who just wanted shots and some type of footage and you know, something. And I was like, hey guys, I'm working. I just wrote this. It's going to be a little Halloween thing, you know, and I want to try new equipment. I also had a move away from some of my crew, and I was like, I want them to get comfortable. How do I work and my wording and my timing and all that stuff. So we said, all right, let's shoot it. We put 3 days aside. It's called Nevor. It's on YouTube right now. You can watch it if you want. But it was my first horror attempt and my first like creature, because I'm a very monster person. I love, you know, monsters. Favorite director of all time, Guillermo del Toro. Love him to death. So
about that in the video,
with that being said, though, you know, I didn't know how to create a monster. I also didn't know, like, I'm very lucky my wife is a makeup artist. She's always been a special effects girl. We didn't know that when we met, by the way.
Oh, nice.
it just was like, oh, I make movies. She was like, can I make makeup for them? And like,
Oh, she wasn't even doing it yet.
dude, she didn't. She's a cosmetologist. She did not, like, she loved makeup, but she would always like do horror makeup and special effects. But the fact that I was a filmmaker and it was like, we met at high school. So we didn't know what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, and then I was like, hey, I want to make movies, and she knows how to make makeup, and it just kind of happened. So
That's dope.
what I was saying though, with that short film, we created a creature for the first time, and I drew it, and I went the whole mile, a sculpture, you know, with just Play-Doh and try to get it, you know, nice. And I'm like, I want this. It was my favorite color is green, so I was like, this creature's gonna be green. It's the representation of my first monster, you know. And you get crazy
Like
with
a swamp monster.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, it's gonna be crazy. It was like a zombie apocalypse virus thing that created monsters or whatever. And ultimately, we got there. We rehearsal it. We get the makeup. The makeup takes 6 hours to do like a full, like, choose the top. That's what we did. We understood that, you know, again, on the learning. And then I don't know if you know anything about color theory, but monster.
No, but
y'all about to learn.
Hit me. I'm all ears.
The monster is green, right? Everything's green. And then I light it up with red. You would say, what the heck does that mean? That means that the monster is now gray. Because in color theory, if you have two opposites, which green and red are, the middle would blend in completely.
Okay.
So it's actually kind of make like a weird gray/black. So you couldn't even see the monster in the film because the way I lighted it. Oh. I didn't even know that you're supposed to, like, when you're doing the makeup and when you're preparing the creature, you're supposed to go in and do test lighting. Because guess what? Like you do it for everything else, every other scene, you got to do it for the monster, especially if the monster is just one color. I didn't know that because my favorite color palette is like blues and reds. So I was like, oh, this guy's going to be red. And it's going to be super cool. We shot it. I couldn't tell on the camera. We get to post-production. We lost the monster. And it's all out of just how lighting it up. Like I just light it red.
That's crazy.
But it's color theory. And if you don't know about it, you just, and I love color theory. I'm super into color. So much that I made a monster green and I light it up red. So it's those things that it's like, I thought that we went in and I put so much money into like, oh, I'm going to make this creature. And we did, I bought new lenses and stuff for the camera. And it was like, oh, we're going to make this really cool. Hands down, I think it's probably one of the worst projects that I had put everything into and has come out to like,
Well, I'm sure you learned so much.
But thanks to that, you go into next things and you like color theory. Let's do this thing. In JD's, we have a monster, we have a creature.
Yeah, I saw the claws in the trailer.
That was the first thing we did. First thing we did. How are we gonna light it up? What is the color that is gonna be? What are we thinking? What are the palette? And you learn, I did another monster before that, but you learn. Also, the makeup was in 6 hours, it went down to 3. Like you just
your team,
and that was a full body.
Yeah.
The first one was just the top, and then the next one was a full body, right?
And your wife did that.
Oh my gosh, she's amazing. She does it for she's a scare actor too. Like she's super a goth, horror girl. So obviously she's.
I love that shit, man. You already know. But
I was telling you when I came by, I was like, I went back home and I was like, girl. Girl, that's all I gotta say. It was really fun. I had a good time. So,
oh man, I
she's super into that.
Yeah, man, I like weird shit. You said you like monsters and creatures. Like I love that shit. Like Van Helsing, I feel like is a big movie that was slept on. Hugh Jackman went in and just crushed it, right? And the monsters in that movie and the transformations were so seamless. But it looked great. The clothes were ripping off and they're changing, and it's like, oh shit, like. Yeah, I might watch that tomorrow.
And I don't know exactly for that movie, but in general, like when you're doing a shot list and going back to like kind of trying to understand the what you want to make the movie, it's like I guarantee you that for that ripping and breaking out of the monster and all these things, there was probably out of everything that they shot, they probably kept like 3 shots out of 25 that they did ripping of the clothes and doing those things. Because you have a movie in your head. And then you make it and it's like, oh, that's not the movie.
That is not at all what I was hoping for.
It's happened to me before where I'm like, I love directing my actors, and I like to get to know you and what you're really strong at, because if I put you in something that you kind of struggle with, it's just we both are always going to be struggling for the project. So it doesn't mean that you're not capable. It just means that for what we're doing, I'd rather you be comfortable. So with that being said, a lot of the times you bring actors that can give you that thing that you're looking for, and then you do it, and it's like, this is going to be great. And then you get to editing, and it's like, oh, I can't put that shot in, Yeah. I mean, I remember there was one shot where, luckily I learned, going back to learning, you punched Kevin, right? And we did it 2 times. We did it on a wide, and then we did it on a close to the back. Well, I was like, oh, the wide is going to look really cool because, I'm going to see his whole body and he's a stunt double. Like, he's probably going to give me something in the air. I don't know, I seen your body. I know you like to work out. So I was like, this is going to look good. And then I was like, this is a shot that I'm going to put in. I even put it on my shot list. I'm like, we got this shot. Like, once I saw it on camera, I was like, we're good. I got to the editing, and I can see, like, this much space between you two. Oh. And I'm just like,
damn it.
What happened between here and there that I miss, right? Luckily, though, I have the other shot, and then I'm able to like bring it all the way to the punch, and then change it to where the hit happens, and then it looks badass.
Nice.
And again, you learn, right?
Yeah.
But it's those things like you never know, and I'd rather give someone into that comfort area and then be like, oh, they're gonna perform great here, than like try something new and then kind of run it. However, though, there's some projects that you just gotta swing it. Yeah. See what happens. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You put me in that position when we were filming, and I really enjoyed working with you because you allowed me to act. You allowed me to give my feedback. Hey man, I really think we should go do it like this. And then there were times where you're like, all right, do with the script and then just flow.
Let's bring it back a little bit. Let's go crazy.
Yeah,
that's how it is.
And I like to improv.
Which is great,
you know,
and I saw that.
Yeah, throw shit at me. I could really feed off of that because now it's more natural for me. I'm just reacting. I'm the character. I know who this character is. I put in my time and my effort. I know mentally where I'm at and what I'm doing. The task at hand, the setting, all of that shit. I'm really in tune. So when people are reacting or are coming and doing shit, whether it's expected or not, I can react in character. Exactly. And it's, oh, man. And you allowed me to do that, and it was beautiful. I'm very excited to see tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I always say acting is reacting. Like, very basic. It's very basic, right? If I told you, like, hey, tell me that you're looking at the sky, you know, there's people who are going to be like, I'm looking at the sky. Literally, right? Or just, yeah, right? Yeah. That's the thing, like, you know, and when it comes to acting, like, I love theater actors because they're, or improv. Oh my God, I love them because you break a leg and you keep going. Yeah. I'm still here, you know, I still got to finish this, you know, 2 pages long, 3 pages, 5 pages. Like, I'm still here, you know, and that's, again, with experience, you learn that. When I was in high school, I had the luck to be able to be doing that. And that's when I learned that stage actors are different than camera actors, you know, it was very shocking to have, like, someone line. What do you mean? You're in the middle of you know, you're robbing this freaking pharmacy. What do you mean, line? You know, just rob
the pharmacy. Let's
like,
go.
Just go with it. You know, I don't have to write like, and he yells, "Son of," no, just
react.
Let it be, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if it is too much, it is my job to tell you, all right, let's tune it down. Let's switch here. Let's shape it. I always say, like, although I think I'm an actor director, like I love my actors, I always want to give you that square to where, you know, think of your little like a cow, right? And I put you in that little square. You free to go wherever you want in that square. Because if I say like, oh, there's this whole, you know, I don't know, mountain to just go, right? You're gonna just go everywhere, and we have, you know, you are lost and I'm lost, and it just doesn't work. Direction. So I gotta give you a little square, and I'm like, here within this square, do whatever you want. And then you did, and it worked out great, and that's what it's supposed to be, you know. I wanted to give you this little insight. So obviously we did it in a little telephone store, right? Well, they have cameras everywhere in the back and whatever. So like the owners stay in the back for like probably an hour and a half until they shut down the alarms and stuff. And they were looking, and he's like, dude, like the amount of times that I thought we were actually getting robbed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because every time it was fresh, it was different, but he was always going to the right place, you know? So that's one of the things I was like, I got to tell Levi.
Yeah,
like, this
man.
is fun.
Stick them up, baby.
But that's what it is, you know? And if you go in, and I think acting is one of the most beautiful things you can do, because you could be, you know, robbing a bank, and then tomorrow you could be, the, you know, saving Gotham City. And you just, the range is so big to be able to do whatever you want to do.
It is,
So-
as long as your mind is free.
Absolutely.
And that's, if you could truly free yourself for an episode,
Well,
if
that
you could
too.
truly free yourself for that day or that time of filming, however long the duration is, man, you, like you said, you could take your mind wherever you want to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if you truly believe it, that's why I believe in, you know, positive affirmations, because if you could tell yourself, hey, I'm this character, and you believe it, if you say, man, I'm a piece of shit, you're going to believe that too. Man, I suck. Oh, I can't do this. Yeah. I try not to say any of that stuff, you know.
Like, we're here.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah,
Let's do
man.
it. No, that's important. That's important. And I think, again, going back to just life, you know, it's like, it's very difficult to be able to make something when there's nothing. And it's very difficult to always be the ones calling the shots. But there's a reason why you're doing it, because you made it this far, you know?
Yeah.
And if you made it this far, you know, why are you going to quit now? Why is it going to be now that you suck? When, you know, I have a little picture every time I have a premiere where my first premiere was. And what I used to do is I used to invite the cast and crew and like just post, you know, take out a little projector in my house. I'm Mexican, so I love, you know, cooking, carne asada, just doing some little
Invite
thing,
me
you know what I
over,
mean?
man.
Yeah.
Shit.
And then we just do something like that. All right, everybody's here. All right, let's go watch a movie. And then, I mean, the short film would be like 35 minutes, 40 minutes. I think the longest one I made was like 45 minutes. And even at that point, I was like, I don't know, this is probably not a short. But I did that, and that was the best time. But I have pictures where I was like, this is all I had, like there was no red carpet, there was no fancy photos, there was nobody. It was just people who believe in my vision and believe in me, and it doesn't matter my age. It just was like, I don't care you're Mexican, I don't care you're young, I don't care any of that. I'm here because you made something, and I'm part of that, and I want to be part of that journey.
Yeah.
And I can proudly tell you that many years later, now we do have theaters, now we have things on Amazon Prime, now we do things constantly in a bigger level, but I always bring the people with me. I always bring like that one person who was there when
Truly
there was,
believe.
I mean, that's
see
it.
the vision, and even if they can't see the vision, they believe in you. And it's like, man, it feels so good in your heart to have
Rewarding,
those
for
people.
sure.
Hey, I'm rooting for you, man. I see you. I appreciate you. Yeah, we may not need that, but it feels good.
And going back to the needs and wants, right? You just like, sometimes you get to a point in where you're like, I don't need, I'm very humble, and people have told me that, and it doesn't sound right for me to say that, but I don't allow myself to enjoy the success of whatever is happening. I'm always like, what's next? What's next? This project has given me that hardcore. It gave me a hard stop, and it was like, no, dude, you're making this movie, and that's all you're making. That's all you have. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's why it's really difficult to say like, oh, I'm going to have this beautiful premiere. Everybody's going to be asking me questions. Everybody's going to be doing things, like you got to give yourself a hard stop and say, yeah, you know what? I did make that. So hopefully people like it.
Yeah, man. You said verbatim what I've said about myself. I never, appreciate what I do. It's always, okay, what's next? And it's not fair to us. It's exhausting.
Super.
It's exhausting. You can never appreciate yourself. It's always, okay, this is the vision. Let's go make it happen. And we're fully capable, but I'm learning, and from listening to you, it's important to stop and say, I did that.
It's crazy. Like I said, onto this project, things happen in my life that really make me stop and say, whoa, 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 whoa. Like for some people, it's the first time they're going to be in a red carpet, being in a theater, watching themselves on the big screen. This is going to be the first time for a lot of us. And for me, I've been doing it for a minute and having that be that, it's been one of those things where you just got to figure it out. You can't just like allow yourself to stop. And some people are like, oh my God, this is my night. And you get so caught up on like, okay, yeah, whatever's next. Let's keep moving. Yeah, I did this already. Yeah, whatever. Sign picture. All right, let's post it, whatever. What's the next thing? And sometimes, like you were saying, it's not sometimes, all the time. It's not fair for you to say, you're the one that ends up sacrificing themselves. I was just telling my wife literally before I got here, we're lucky that we have a sold out theater for this movie. And I feel bad because it's like, oh my God, I want to give 2 tickets to the extras, and I want to do these and I want to do that. And I'm like, I don't have space for it. There's no space. And I even literally this morning, I was like, okay, well, if there's people standing up, I'll just get up and then I'll give him my seat and then I'll just go watch it standing up. And then my wife is just like, are you listening to what you're saying? If anybody put effort into this movie, if anybody deserves to have a seat tonight, it's the person who put everything together.
Yeah.
Right? And it clicked. Literally, today it was because I'm in that journey to try to understand and enjoy that. And it clicked easily where it was like, you're right. It is not a selfish thing for me to remain sitting on my movie.
Hell no. You're the one that sacrificed everything up until this point.
Exactly.
Who did everything up until this point.
Yeah.
So this is the one night for when you could say, hey, F you guys.
Like, I want to watch this.
Yeah. I know you've seen it 700 million effing times.
And 2.
And 2, yeah. But now you can sit back, let somebody else press play, and you don't have to worry. You can sit back with a smile on your face and say, everybody else, this time you watched with me, and we enjoyed together.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I admire was like when you had me over that one time, we did watch a movie. There was a point in time where everybody was kind of like, are we going to watch a movie? Is that a thing we're happening? Like, I don't know what's going to... And then we did. And, you know, I went home and I was like, we got to watch this movie, dude. And then there's a second part. And, you know, but it's about having it with people, right? Being around yourself, you know. I have a little tradition where every time I have a movie premiere, it's my beautiful wife on my right and my mom on my left side. And until God doesn't allow me to do that anymore or whatever, I would always do that. So if there's a moment where I'm excited about, is seeing my logo coming up and having those two ladies next to me tomorrow. Yes. That's the biggest thing, you know.
Yes, so. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Yeah, man, that's awesome. So take me back a little bit. When did you get started? When did you release that first shitty short that you were talking about?
I guess the very first thing.
Short.
So I got very lucky. I think like people, you know, you got to understand that when you had it a little bit easier than other people, it doesn't mean that it takes away from the work you put, but I had it easier because I had someone who had a like a production company, but they were doing events, weddings, quinceañeras, things like that. So they just ultimately allowed me to kind of work with them. So they just kind of let me work with them, and they said, hey, you know what? We need an extra camera person. So you need an extra camera person? Sure. You know, I think I was 16 at the time when that happened. I was still in high school. They just needed an extra person to hold the camera, you know, and go and do weddings and events like that. So I did. You know, I was getting paid. I think it was like $80 an event. And yeah, it was.
That's good. 16.
It was 16, $80.
And you enjoyed it.
Oh, absolutely. That was where I got. Oh, and if I follow like if I move it up like this, I can zoom in, I can zoom out. You know, I mess it up. I apologize if you ever got one of my, you know, because I was a cameraman for those events. But yeah, that's what I did. I was, you know, I look at this doesn't work. Oh, what does this do? Oh, this guy's in the middle of the shot. You know, I'm like, oh, damn, this is not, you know, like, don't do that, you know. So 16, very lucky to do that. And then my senior year came around when I turned 18, and I wanted to leave something for myself in the past, or for my future self at that point. So I recorded everything with recorded a little documentary of my last days in high school.
That's dope.
And I went and interviewed my teachers, every single teacher that I ever had. From freshman year, if they were still there. So that's what I did. I edited my whole, you know, I learned how to edit things with my phone, you know, and just back and forth. And then I did a little documentary that I haven't watched yet because I'm still waiting. I think it was when I was turning 21 when I was supposed to watch it. But I haven't watched it yet. So we'll see.
Nice.
So that's what I did. That was my first, like, kind of rolling at it. And then once I graduated from high school, I was, all right, I want to make this. Like, I want to do this forever. And that's when storytelling really kind of got into it. And I did my first shitty short.
Good for you, man. Like, that's a blessing that you found something that you love and want to do for the rest of your life at such a young age. Like, a lot of people go into their 30s, 40s, 50s still trying to figure it out. Yeah. So that's a blessing, man. Good for you.
It's crazy, but it's true. I mean, when you're young, you don't really think of that. You know, you don't really think of, like,
can I make a living off of this?
Yeah, I still don't think
this is dope. You know, I want to do this.
But you don't think of the money part and the financial stability and any of that. So, you know, I'll tell you this. There's this thing where, like, there's this fire in you, and you know, and you feel it. It comes around a little bit different for people, but I know for me, it's like when I'm in SED, like, oh my God, the life, world, anything could be better. I mean, you got one of my best days on SED, you know. It was the very first time I had a director's chair because I'm very like, no, that's too much, you know. I never sat on my director chair. It has my name and everything.
Yeah, that thing is badass.
You know, I never had, you know, and that day I was like, you know what? What's stopping me from sitting on my director chair right now? Like, what is it? Nothing. It's right there.
So there was no deeper meaning or anything?
It was just like, I'm going to go sit down and I'm going to direct with my monitor my movie. That was the idea. And I never done it. That day was the first time. Up. It was the first time that I ever did that, you know?
Yeah.
That's how it is. I even got this little director chair on my back now because of that. And I was like, wow, we did that, you know? I never had the opportunity to do it. And it's like, you're at home, you know, it's there. You can just go and sit down. But this was like, I'm directing my movie on my chair, right? I just don't have time to sit down ever. And this was the time, you know, so pretty exciting.
Do you feel like I got a lot of questions, but do you feel like as you go forward and you continue to build the trust in your team and in yourself, I guess, that you're going to sit in that chair more often?
Yeah, that's the goal, right? And it's not
Your
even
little
like
belly and shit.
yeah, right. It's not really sitting on the chair that will make the trick. I think it's like the mental. I'm sitting on the chair, right? Like I am doing this, right? I've been, you in this business, you have to hustle and you have to like struggle and you have to like do your thing. Like you gotta go no matter what you do. So sitting on a chair, having a set where you can relax, something so stupid like sitting on a chair. Like when you guys are off screen and relax, I'm like relax. Obviously it was raining. We would normally have camp, but chill out. I don't need you right now. Take care. All right, let me figure this light. Let me do this thing. You never get that opportunity of like this film allowed me to say, all right, let's take 10, and everybody takes 10 except me, right? This movie made me take 10.
Yeah.
It was like, dude, if you want to keep making this movie, you better take 10
Because it was so demanding.
It's crazy. It was, and this is definitely one of the craziest movies we made, but I think it's the best one I made so far. So
Yeah, man. So what number movie is this, including shorts?
Including shorts, I'm gonna say 12. That sounds like a good number.
Nice.
Including
Now
shorts.
feature.
3.
Nice. When was your first feature?
My first feature was Pandemic Times,
Okay.
November 17, 2020. That's the day it released.
Release. So when did you shoot it? Summer?
We shot it on September.
Oh shit! All right, so
Yeah.
that's you turned around.
That's how I do it, and that's
Yeah.
because I come from a school of, like I was saying, I was really lucky to have a production background. So it was very like, we have one shot with the wedding lady, and they're gonna do this one time that this grandpa is coming from Utah, and we gotta get the shot, and that was my mentality. I grew up with that mentality of like, what's next? So instead of having you do it 30 times. I'll do it. I know you're gonna give me 2 really good ones. I know that. So let's have 2 really good cameras looking at different angles and see which one gets the best. That was my ideology. As projects went along, you understand. I'm like, all right. So let's not give him 2 good ones. Let's give him more and more and more. Obviously, Jades took me 4 years to make. This last one,
a lot of writing, right?
A lot of writing. There was 120 pages when it began. I wanted it to be a screenplay, like theater and stuff. And then we start thinking things off. He ended up 69 pages. So,
you cut a lot.
That was it's 4 years.
How do you go into the thought process of, okay, maybe these scenes aren't as important? Is it story driven or is it emotionally driven?
I think it's very much emotion, right? Because you're like, so JD's, I wrote it after I finished writing my first feature. Which obviously kind of fits within like the 2020. And I wrote it because it's like, oh, this is easy. Let me make the next one type of, in that time.
Good for you.
right? It's just, let's go, right? Again, not getting that experience. The first one is supposed to be a short film that ended up being, 114 minutes, just enough to where it was considered a feature. That very first one. So it was never planned as a feature.
Hour 14 or 114 minutes?
I was an hour 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
what's the cutoff?
I think it's an hour 14. That's in order to be considered a feature.
And has that updated over time? Or
I think they updated 2005 after there was a movie that they were going to the extremes. It was like 7 hours or like like a football game, 90 minutes.
Yeah, like that movie Rose Red, I think, is like 6 hours. And then on the flip side, Friday After Next is like an hour 15 or something like that.
So that's what I'm saying. If you pay attention, it's 14. I think it's the Master of Disguise, I think is the movie that literally has a runtime of like, I think it's 45 minutes. And the rest to get from 45 to 14 to an hour and 14, it's all credits.
Oh, wow.
Because they needed to sell it as a feature. It's crazy stuff.
The Masters of Disguise?
I think that's what it's
little
called.
silly ass movie?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's the one then. Yeah. Masters of Disguise. I'm serious. It's like really short. It's like super short.
Yeah.
But if you pay attention, the credits.
The whole thing is
and
a
they
disguise.
credited like the dog, the wall,
each blade of grass.
Oh my God, it was crazy because they needed to get to the fine mark. I think it's 2005 when they changed it. You can fact check this, but yeah. But yeah, we started at, did my first film, and then I wrote JD's, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so great. This is the best thing ever. And life happened. And it just, obviously 2020 happened, and like just didn't really like, got to a point in where it felt good enough. It was never good enough, and it was too long. It was taking too long for days. And I started very petty, and then I removed everything. I lost the film. My computer caught on fire. Like I lost my original footage from Dilection, which is my first feature. Crazy things happen, bro. Like crazy stuff. Like I really thought I lost the film.
How did it catch fire?
I was rendering a wedding.
Oh, he did working that thing.
It was a 4K 6-hour wedding, and
it's an boom.
Yeah. And again, it's like all those things that you learn. I didn't know I needed to back up my stuff. I didn't know that I need, and I'm like in the level where I'm editing every day. I'm doing things. I don't know what I can save this, 6-hour wedding here and then edit another thing. Like you can't do that
thing to work. Yeah.
So now I have a monster of a PC, which is nice, but. At the time, I didn't know that was important. I just needed enough to where I can edit. Yeah, okay, we're good. Yeah. So I lost it. Crazy story, dude. Lost it. Gone for like a couple years. Make Black Rose, which is my last feature. It was beautiful. Shout out to George Cruz. He was the writer of that movie. And we just kind of edited a little bit on the script. And then I get an email from myself. I'm cleaning up my inbox and I message myself. I literally emailed myself JD's. And that's how I was able to find it. Yeah.
How far back did you have to go?
It was 120 page. So every change that I made did not exist. It was the original backup that I did from when I finished writing it. I finished writing it and I sent it to myself.
At least you had that.
And then I had that.
But now you have a blank mind.
It was just like, it was crazy. And I lived. And I love this movie so much because every movie shows a biography of who you are. But this one is really like, when I was reading that's 120 pages, I was like, this is young Joseph. This is really young Joseph. And then, a little more mature Joseph came in. And then a business Joseph came in. And a war film director came in. Like, I can see it. And then that's when I started doing the changes. And I can see it with different eyes. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. This is too much. I love this. Let's take it for a different movie. I love this idea. I have a notebook. If you go to my car, I call it the idea notebook.
The what?
Idea notebook.
Okay, got you.
And it's the dumbest thing. But what it is I'm in a light, right? And I see someone, doing fire things, whatever, and they're wearing a monster shirt. And I'm like, a monster that breeds, or, a circus monster or a fire monster. And I write down fire monster. And at the time, it makes sense. Later on, I look at it and I'm like, fire monster? What is this? But when you sit down and you write, fire monster, oh my God, yeah. And then this, and then that. And then you start taking these ideas. It's this idea bucket that I call it.
I have one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I have
Put it there.
One.
You never know.
Because you never know when you're going to get a good idea.
Yeah.
I had a really good one for, a whole movie. So I'm in the middle of writing a script while I was washing the dishes.
That's how it is.
And I was just like, why did this, I almost started crying because I was thinking about it so hard and how deep, I was invested in my mind. I was like, oh my God.
I gotta write this down.
And then started writing it. So I developed all my characters and a backstory for all the characters. And I think I'm on page 15 or some shit like that.
Beautiful. I think that's the biggest thing for screenwriters is writing.
Yes.
Once you get there, you get there.
Character development, I learned, is so important. If you could break a character down all the way to the T to why they're feeling these emotions. Oh man, my mom beat me every day, and then fucking stuff like that. I remember January 7th, 2001 when X, Y, and Z happened. That's why I'm mad when you say banana.
Yeah,
wrong.
That's my trigger.
Stuff like that. If you could break a character down to that, it gives so much depth to everything. Now you could take the story and really
a different level. You feel it. You feel the story. Yeah. So I mean, you obviously are an example of that. What I do for all my films, and I try to do a one-on-one with all my actors. Yeah. And we try to do that character development.
Yes.
Because even though people think I'm just a background, but how? Why the heck did you get here? What happened to you that you got to this particular point in the film? Why are you here?
Yeah.
Tell me that story, So what I do normally for my main characters is I give my whole biography of because it's very, story driven. So this is why, with this one, I'm not going to give spoilers, but it's very much a lot of army and daddy issues and family issues. So he needed to know why. He needed to know when things broke, Why does he not like his dad? Or why does he love his dad? Like, he needs to understand. When I was 3, this happened. So that's what I do. I give a biography that obviously takes time and takes effort. But then that's what you do these things, right? It's like, as much as a director can give you a direction, you also need to put in that part to know the character and going into that layer of like, I know who I am, right? And then, so that's in the big picture. You know, I have people and I have actors who are like, I don't need to know this. Okay. Why? Because we're going to start fresh every day. Every day. The character needs for us to be fresh every day. The character cannot, I can't know. I'm not thinking of my dad on 1965 because all I'm thinking is, oh my gosh, I want to smoke that thing.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it's respectable. And I learned with, you know, it's not a matter of, you can't take offense of the story. It's just, that's what the actor or the character needs. Right? Yeah. And that's okay. And then there's other ones who is like, that's my Bible, bro. Like, he wears a clock on the left side. You know, like, that's my thing. And they pick it up. I do funny things like dates and birth dates and special moments and like, you know, little things like, you know, I love color and symbols. So I give everybody symbols. Luna, I give her a little chain that had a little moon on it. And you pay attention, but the chain is actually backwards. So the moon is like this. Well, hers is like this.
Gotcha.
That's what she is. And then he always has the clock, and he has a watch of his dad. He's always carrying that watch with him, you know, because he's really close to time. And in color, he's always wearing a specific green and dark and like dirty and gray and army-ish. She's always bright, pink, beautiful, shiny. Colors, layers, you know, that's kind of how it is. That's why when we're talking about your character, I was like, okay, well, I need you to be blend. I need you guys to be kind of like, or bling bling, super shiny, like, and that's kind of how we can justify each person being there. But it's character development, you know.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, if you know, if you're making storytelling, you need to have that. It's so important to know why this person is doing the thing that they're doing. Simple as that, because you can tell an extra, hey, can you drink this cup? You know, and then they're like, how do I drink?
Exactly.
Because they don't know how they got here.
Yeah.
But if I tell you, oh, you were talking to your friend, you got into a fight, and then now you're here, now this is when you pick it up and drink.
Yeah, now you're angry. And
now you're like, fuck this.
Yeah, exactly. You don't care. It's like, fuck everything. Let me take a drink.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's storytelling.
And it all comes with experience. You know, from, like you said, the director's standpoint, how much do you want to give and how much do you want to put them in that box that you said? How wide is the box?
Exactly. And it changes per person and
per
character.
Person, per scene, per everything.
For everything.
Per emotion, for everything.
Yeah.
And when you have an actor and director on the same page.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful.
It
just flows,
man.
And we have fun.
Yes. You know? And I feel like that when we filmed our scene, that's how I felt. I was like, man, I know what I want to do.
I want to punch this guy. Yeah. I know you wanted to build up to it. And I keep like cutting you off to build up for the upset. And that was my technique there. I was like, you give me a lot of emotion. Let's use it. This guy needs to be pushing you back. So I need to cut you off. Why? Because it's going to piss you off as a person, but you're going to be able to, you're not knowing that I'm doing that, but it's pissing you off because you're like, I can't get to where I want. And then out of nowhere, I'm like, go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now you're like,
yeah.
Like, Animal from freaking, what is it called? The Muppets. You know, that's how I see, you know, how I saw that character. And then obviously I got to meet you, and I was like, oh, let's do it.
Yeah.
Especially just leave, bro. I was like, yes, this is what I need.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, man, it's fun when you can get lost in the moment, right? Time, like you said, nothing else really matters. You're having a blast. Time doesn't really exist. And, you know, you put your phone away, nothing else. You're that character.
Yeah.
And you're in the scene. And you're just ready to go, ready to react.
That's how it is.
Listen and react.
It's very important for people to understand that, like, oh, I'm an actor. And it's like, okay, great. What have you done? I think that's the wrong question. When you say, oh, I'm an actor, it's like, who have you been? You know, because people think, oh, well, you know, I was in this movie and I did this thing. And, you know, I know people who have been on big shows and I still don't know what they did on that big show. And then there's some people who's never done anything really big, but I know exactly who they are and what this beautiful palette that they can give you. You know, there's actors here locally that I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for me to work with them. You know, and there's some actors who I'm like, I don't know if I want to work with them, right? And it's always like, I don't know until you get to that
so
point.
it happens, yeah. And you
know?
experience it. How are you going to be on set? How are you going to react when I give you advice?
Exactly.
Hey, when I'm directing you, how are you going to take it? Are you going to show up on time? Can I rely on you?
Making a movie is a miracle. I mean, that's easy as that, bro. Making a movie is a miracle because not only, like what we were saying earlier, you know, they got 18 people to show up and then, you know, only 19. I mean, you got 20 and then only 19 shows up. Like the whole shoot, bye-bye. You know, or we have to do it at sunrise or sunset. You only get 2 of those, you know, or maybe 1, depending on what you're doing a day.
Yeah.
So if you were not here for sunset, guess what? We're not doing it today.
Done. And now you just wasted the money and time of everybody there.
Yeah. So
you're just sitting there like,
all right, we got to do this again tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know. So
and then you got to hope that all 20 people show up the next day.
Yeah.
Oh, you're sick? Oh, man.
Okay, right. Wait, this is the day that you can only do it today? Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, you know, I think it's like it's always fun to talk to people about like people of the business who kind of know exactly like what you had to go through to get this thing rolling. Because no matter what you do, it doesn't matter the level of what you're doing it. It's taking time and effort of your life to put something together.
Yeah.
You know, I think I respect all the filmmakers who, and anybody, like I was just telling you about the podcast, but in general, for my route, it would be all the filmmakers who pick up a camera and record something, and then they go edit it, and then they, you know, color grade it and make it all cute, and then they put it out for people. That's, I think, the biggest thing for me. It's not just go and make it, because a lot of people tell you, go and make it. Okay, but what does that entail?
Yeah.
Follow through. Finish that movie. You know, we're talking about, like, I think I filmed it on September, my first feature. You know, I had a whole month booked, September to, like, you know, October, I think it was. I was editing for 3 weeks. Movie was done in, like, November 17. I was like, hell yeah, let's go. And then you get to the next film, and it's like, nope. This movie needs for me to have a week off so I can look over what I just recorded. No, this film deserves to have 3 days between, because guess what? There's batteries I need to charge. You know, like, it's all those little things that you kind of like pick up as you go along. Yeah. That nobody told you that you had to do.
And
you know?
boundaries, I'm sure, too. Mental resets.
And it's difficult. It's very difficult to be able to say, all right, let's move on. Because it's really difficult to understand that everyone has their own journey. Because you can say as much as you want, but, you know, your journey is different than mine. Like we were talking about today, you were probably not even going to make it to work today. You were thinking of like this close. You know what? Screw it. You know what I mean? And you didn't. And for me, it was like I had a great morning. I had a horrible afternoon, but I had a great morning. You know, I was like, oh, wow, I got to work early. You know, I was like, oh, there's coffee. Someone brought up donuts. I was like, it's a good day. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and we both are going to meet in the middle of the day. And it's not fair for me to be like super excited about my day and you're super frustrated about your day. You need to take in consideration, like, we're going to have a talk. So we both need to talk, you know? Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, nobody pays attention and nobody listens to the human behavior, which is, it's not all about you. Some people around you have their own lives. Some people have their own things, you know? It's different. But
that's one thing I've noticed about people, directors that I've had on the podcast. They're totally understanding. Or like at my event when, you know, the movie start time was running behind. You guys saw what I was doing. You guys were like, I understand, man. Do your thing.
I mean, do you need my help?
Yeah.
You know, like
so it's like, oh, man, it feels good. It's like people to understand instead of like, damn, man, like, come on, what's taking so long? You know, everybody was chilling, having a good time.
That's how it is. Yeah, but that's how you know you're with the right people, too. You
Exactly.
Because I have it, even on film sets, right? Like, like sometimes you never really got to meet this person. You work kind of see them, you know, they go casting or whatever. You like the look, but then on day one of set, it's like, oh, this is not ready. All right, call me whenever it's ready, you know. And it's like, what? Or like, oh, I'm not gonna be here, you know. Oh, sorry, this is. Oh, I gotta leave. I have a hard hour at 8 p.m. It's 7, and your call time was 7. Yeah. So you know, that's why I understand the other side when it's like we're taking too long. I get it, but it's refreshing when you're like, no, dude, they're doing their thing. And at the end of the day, the thing that we're working the most on is to make it look pretty. Yeah, that's my job. So if you don't want me to make it look pretty, yeah, go ahead by all means. We'll just get your scene and get you out.
You know, the times that frustrate me, and I understand things happen, but if we start filming at 2 a.m, why is my call time 6 p.m.? And I don't need makeup or anything
you
like
just gotta
that.
come in, do your sign. Yeah.
I'm like,
Damn.
why?
why am I
You're
here?
killing my morale right now.
Yeah,
I have to wait 8 hours before we start.
Yeah, crazy.
I could have been here at like midnight, 2
And
hours
that would have
early.
been fine. You would still got the same out of me, or even better because I got to sleep.
I got some sleep.
You know,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
8. Whatever.
But I guess trying to be understanding the best as possible, staying positive, stuff like that. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm assuming this is what all of us want to do. So it's like none of us are intentionally like, oh man, like if you got to sit here for 6 hours, 8 hours before you start. And I was like, all right, somebody messed up. Our bad.
No, I get it, but it also goes down to like the timing, right? Like, and experience, which is I think the word of the podcast.
Yeah,
experience, because you think you need so much time for X amount of things, and then you get there and you're like, oh, I needed more time,
or vice versa.
Or
I thought I needed 6 hours. And it took an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Damn,
that's crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's all learning, and again, I think biggest advice there is do it. Learn how that's gonna go, because if you can start picking it up. If it takes you 25 minutes to set up your camera, well, now you know that 25 minutes people are gonna be sitting down, right? But if you've never done anything like that, and you go and rent the biggest camera that you have never played with, when you get there, that's 20 minutes that normally takes you for your regular camera. I might multiply, and now you're at 3 hours, 4 hours to get something that you knew you could do in 20 minutes, but you didn't try it. You didn't get that rep in. That's experience.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's why I asked about the shot list, because I can't really fathom how much you would go through.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like a simple set. You still have, 8 people, 10 people or whatever, but then in front of the camera, but then you have another 6 people behind the camera, and then you have different camera angles, and then you have to be able to trust each person. And are you going to trust them? Are you going to sit in the seat and trust them? You could look at it, but is the boom guy booming right?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it too high or too low? And I'm not really focused on that. I'm focusing on something else. Can I trust you to make sure that it's right?
Yeah. And
can I stop allocating my mind to so many different places so I can really focus where I need?
I think that I'm being super blessed to have created and enjoyed the time with the people who I make movies with. I have a saying where it's just like, if you make movies, and I think I told you guys when we were doing the table read, if you make movies with the people you like, you're gonna have a blast. Make movies with your best friends. It's gonna be always fun.
Yeah.
It's gonna be rough, but you're gonna have a great time. And I have Food Productions, I have my same DP since my short film times when he didn't know what he was doing, and I had this vision, and now I can trust him fully because I know his full palette. Cesar Diaz, I know exactly what he's gonna give me, and sometimes we're gonna have arguments where like, I want the camera here, and he's like, how am I gonna pass it through this wall? I don't know, figure it out. And then I come back and he's like, look, if we do it this way, we'll look better. And then I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because that chemistry,
correct.
develops
So
in time.
My DP, big time of what I do, big person in my team. But then I also have people who coming in. I have a young audio technician who all he wanted to do was play hardcore punk music, but he learned that you had to record and how to record. And he came to me as in like, can you teach me how to do like a podcast setup and like this, audio stuff? And then I'm like, hey, you really like audio? Do you want to try filmmaking? Oh, I don't know. How is it? And then little by little, I seen him grow through the projects to where like now he's like, I'm gonna put the boom here. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm putting,
Nice.
And then you learn to trust it, And I think this might be controversial, but I really do think that out of Vegas, I feel the most confident with my team, because my team has been there since the very beginning, and I've been with the same team for a really, really long time.
Chemistry is important, man.
And it's fun. I don't have to worry about you. Does he know how to set up the camera? I don't have to worry about that. All I need to worry about is like, hey, can you give me a dirty to the left, and can you have a medium here? And I know that he knows what that means.
The lingo.
And I know that it's gonna get there, and all I gotta do is look at it. And then now I can focus on you, the actor. And I know that I don't have to worry about the technical stuff. I have to worry about you. And unfortunately enough, though, as you learn and you get experience, you also understand that you have to invest in yourself. This career is very expensive. And if you don't want... yeah, right. I'm like, oh. And if you... If you don't want the... I guess if you don't want to get the oh, I'm just going to, you can do it wrong two ways. One, I think, in my opinion, right? You can go and rent the best camera. You can get an Arri or a Red camera and be like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing I can afford. And the camera's going to look great. Oh, the video, the show, the event, whatever we're recording, the project. Or you can go super cheap and you're not going to get the quality you want because you haven't put effort in what you want, Like you were mentioning, like, how can I trust this guy? I just had to trust it and be like, oh, that didn't sound good in post-production, and that's not right. You got to get it at the moment. Yeah. So now I have a wireless transmitter. So now I hear with my headphones what he's hearing.
Nice.
And if I don't like something, I can adjust it. And then little by little, as the project goes along, I can lose off my headphones because I know that he understands my vision the same way that the camera and the lenses, sound is important. So things like that, you start getting it. I have a guy now just to do follow focus. That's his whole job, to make sure that if you move, the focus is moving with you. But I'll tell you, when I did my first short film, having a follow focus guy was not even a thing in my mind.
Right.
It was not important. That we have a camera, we have a boom mic that is in top, right above the camera. We're good. This is let's go make the next Oscar award movie.
Right.
That's your priorities kind of change and things grow and your career really shows it, where I no longer had to worry about like, oh, is this gonna sound good? I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
Now I have to worry about, is this gonna look good? Does it feel good? Can we get it done right?
Is this the best performance?
Yeah. And that's massive, and people are always gonna say this, but I have a thing against like telling someone like, oh, kind of what I was saying with like, you want to be a filmmaker? Go pick up a phone, a camera, record. You a filmmaker. And I'm like, yes, you are a filmmaker by definition, but you also need to like follow through what I was trying to tell you earlier. You gotta go with it. You gotta understand that. Oh man, like, yes, this phone is great, but it's not, you need to understand it's not
gonna get the job done the way I need it, the way I could progress and grow.
Be a master at that phone level. Do it the very best that you can. And then when you know everything that you can possibly do with that, move up to the next thing and move on to the next thing,
I agree with that. That's like getting started with the podcast. I didn't go out and just buy a bunch of expensive stuff. I made it a point to, one, I like to try a lot of stuff.
Good.
So it's like, is this just a hobby? Is this just something I like to do to mess around? Okay, let me start with Zoom recordings then. Oh man, I really like this. Okay, let me buy a little microphone.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is dope. Let me buy Final Cut Pro. Oh man, this camera's not working no more. Let me buy a camcorder.
There you go.
Oh man,
that's how they get you. And just once you get the cameras, bro. Oh.
Yeah, and then now you're at a point where it's like, okay, I understand what the hell 720 is.
Good.
I don't want that.
Exactly.
I want 4K. So now I have the justification or the reason of why I should go spend $1,000, $2,000 on something.
Because that's what you want, and you are. I don't think prepare, like ready is the word, but you prepare enough to be like, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Experience.
But I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
And then you get it, and you're like, okay.
I take it in like levels. You know what I'm saying? I call it in leveling up. Okay. When I first started, I was dumb as hell when it came to all this stuff.
That's okay.
Right? Yeah. I didn't know what an XLR cable was. That's this.
That's very minimum to do a podcast, right? You need the cable.
Yeah.
What cable?
I didn't know what an interface was or audio recording software or how to work a computer or save files and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
These are all simple things. It took me a few years to even understand that, damn, I learned a lot of skills.
Just being here.
Just setting up with doing what I just did. That's so many skills that I learned to get to here. How many dozens of hours it took to learn to just set this stuff up. That's important. That's the reps and the experience
to get you there.
To get to this point.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, people sometimes see me like a downer and they're like, oh, well, like I'm just going to, I'm like, I like to be realistic, because when I was, younger, I thought that I could make the very best next thing, in my iPhone. And that's not true. I cannot make the very next thing in my iPhone. Like, I cannot go and make an award. You'll be able to make an award film, but you're not going to be able to make a Oscar award film, right? Because there is not how it's going to look. That's artistic and creative, and we can talk about that, whatever. like paintings, right? Whatever, some people see this, some people see all these things.
Very subjective.
It doesn't matter, right? I hope that when people watch my movies, they see 30,000 different versions of that movie. That's what I want. I don't want you to be like, oh, the movie was about this, they did this and this, that. Boom. No, I want you to be like, and then what about this? What about that, right? So we can talk about that, whatever. But the biggest thing, though, is that consistency to be able to say, well, I can be the pro master at this particular thing at this particular moment in time for this particular whatever it is that I'm doing. Like, if it's with the camera and you are a filmmaker and that is the thing that you're doing, great. That's the thing you're doing. You are a filmmaker and you are an iPhone filmmaker. Great. I also don't think that giving you the red when you just started is going to get you the level of like, I'm a filmmaker. Why? Because you're recording a red. It doesn't matter if you didn't know how to edit, if you didn't know how to set up the lights properly, if you don't know what shadows are, if you don't know, slate. I remember when I introduced slate into my films, I was like, dude, like I didn't know I needed that.
Yeah.
To
help in post.
Now look back at it, I'm like, how did I do it before?
How the hell did I line this up?
You know what I mean? I mean, now there's software where you just like match sound. Like I can put in the sound that I had recorded on the recorder and then the sound that came out directly from the camera, and it can link it together. I can just do that now. Back in the days, there was none
all
of
manual.
it was none of that, and I think back, how the heck did I link those? Now I can't live without my slate. Like that is my baby, and as a thing, a personal thing, it's like when I open that box for my equipment and it's day one of filming, and I take out my slate and I put in the new tape and I put in the title of the project.
It's like a breath of fresh
I'm
air.
like, brother, we're here again.
Let's go.
We're gonna do it again.
Yeah.
That's my moment because I have the slate, and it has come so close because I fought so hard to get to the slate.
Yeah.
Because I was scared. I was like, what am I gonna do? Take
What do I
one,
say? Yeah.
take two. I can
Yeah.
just do. I'm running around. Take one. Like why would I care about that? Now I go back to like I have a dude who literally his whole job is to follow focus.
Yeah.
That's all he's doing. He's in a little freaking monitor in the back, and all he's doing is.
That growth, man.
But it's like, so that's my thing. Like you wanna be honest, but also like don't discourage yourself from it.
Yeah.
Like it's okay, dude. It's
to not know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People don't think it as that's honestly an attribute to say, I don't know this. It's an attribute. It's a good thing. Say and asking questions, it's a good thing. I remember when we had our set, you were asking me questions about the map box and the lenses, and that for me was like, yeah, let me tell you what this lens is.
Because I want to know. Shit.
Yeah, and like that's the thing. Like it's okay to not know things, and it's okay to say like, hey, look, I'm still learning. I think the problem is to always expect to like when you get started on something, like you're gonna be the best at whatever you do, and you need to understand that they're gonna be better people than you.
100%.
The goal, though, once you understand that, is like understanding how did they do that and try to mimic where they got. And then in that process, you start finding yourself and you start creating your own. This really helped me because I'm a pro wrestler. So this really, really helped me with like my character development as a pro wrestler, because I can be so caught up. I was so upset that people would be like super, like some dude with barely any, gear, like maybe $300 gear or $200 gear will just chunks and we'll go into and everybody loved him and he was main event and he did nothing. He did like 3 moves. He did the chalk, like a little chalk slam and like an elbow and like a Superman punch. That was his thing. And people will go crazy.
Was he a big guy?
Yeah, he was a big guy. But that was his thing. And I was like, dude, I'm spending like, 4 or 5 days out of my life in the gym, taking these bumps, like doing this thing, practicing this beautiful head scissors because I'm Mexican, so I wear a mask and everything. So I got to do all high flying stuff and just crazy things.
I got to see that shit.
Oh, you had to, bro. And it's like, for what? Like, why am I doing and putting all this effort? And I did, dude. I bought the most expensive, like, mask. I have my customized masks, so people make them for me, for specific my head. And I'm I can't sit too much because obviously I wear a mask, but super cool stuff. And then I'm like, damn, what the heck? And then that's when I stop worrying about being this fancy, flashy, oh my gosh, I'm going to be the best at this thing. And then I started looking at the most important thing in wrestling, the crowd. And then I stopped, okay, at this time I can do this really cool move, or I can just talk smack and be like, you like this guy? And now people are like, fuck yeah, you know, like, and that's
love you or hate you.
That's when the promoter go back and it was like, hey, can you come back next week? That's when you stop worrying about the technical part of like buying a red camera. That's not gonna get you there if you don't know how to use the red camera. And I don't mean like in the, you know,
metaphorically.
Yeah, I mean it in like in general. Like you know, if you don't know what this light does to your face, the camera and the lens are not gonna do any better than the iPhone.
Exactly.
Or Samsung or whatever.
You need to be ready. You need to be prepared. You need to get those reps.
Experience and doing it over and over and over.
Until it's second nature and you truly understand. Like when I was younger, I used to shy away from asking questions, and it really stunted my growth in a lot of things and really put me into some fucked up situations because of that. And I learned, I'm going to ask you the same question a few times if I have to. You know, I'm a very smart guy, but I could be slow with some shit.
And that's okay.
And I had to understand that it's okay. The way I learn and process things is going to be completely different from every other person. So just because he or she got it on the first or second time, it might take me 6, but I failed 5 times. It kept on coming, baby. And
that's the thing. And then by the time it comes around, this other person might have already forgot about that thing. And then you later on, let's say we're talking about a scene, you know, I was very clear about the camera. Hey, I need your eye line to be right here. That was my direction, you know? And then I told her that's the exact same thing. Hey, I need your eye line to be right here, right? She's like, oh, yeah, I got it. You, let's say, I'm putting an example. You struggle with that, right? It's like, you're like, oh, I don't know, eye line. What does that even mean? You know, whatever. And I had to explain it to you 6 times. You get it. Now you know that that's your eye line, right?
And I'll never forget eye line for the rest of my life.
Forget that. Exactly.
Because I'll remember, oh, my God, I remember those 5 times.
And then I guarantee you, as a director, as soon as we get to like take 3 or 4, poof, from her, she... What? Oh, yeah, the eye line. Yeah, sorry. Now I have to keep cutting because she didn't ask the question. Yeah. Which now you're like, I know what I got to look at. Here. That's where I got to look at. That's what he said.
We nudge and be like, the eye line, come on.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but it's like, you take it as a like, I learn. It's okay. And I feel like, unfortunately, we live in a society, a world right now where people people are scared to say, I don't know. And that's okay to say.
I was scared to say I don't know for a long time. I didn't want to be judged or labeled or have people think less than of me. F that, man. If I don't know and you have the answers, I'm not going to waste my time going to find it. And I could just be like, hey, hey, bro, tell me X, Y, and Z. Yeah. I don't get it.
And that's okay, you know. And that's the thing, like people really, and it goes with actors too. Like sometimes, like directors will be so caught up in like whatever, like a light, right? And I'm like, this light's not looking good, and I'm focusing about that. And you just all you need to know, it's like, am I walking in from the left or am I walking in from the right? That's all you gotta know. That's all you gotta do. And then for whatever reason, you didn't ask the question, and now you're coming from the left, and I'm like, damn it.
Yeah. You don't ruin everything.
You know what I mean? And
we just talked for 10 minutes about it.
But you didn't ask the question, and it's not your fault. Yeah. I should have told you that.
They're probably like, man, so much on your mind. Exactly. Yeah.
So, like, if you have the question, ask. Hey,
and then the other person could even be like, man, I know he has a lot on his mind. I don't want to bug him with this. I should know this.
Yeah, but I don't. The fact is that you don't know it, right? Yeah. Let's be, you know, and I also do a really good job with my crew because I also tell them, like, if I'm not available, you're the next director to everybody on my crew. Yeah. You know, I don't want people to ask me and I'm sorry I'm going to say this, but the dumb questions. I don't think there's dumb questions.
But it's ideas, a person to ask.
But it's like, dude. If
like a chain of command.
If you're trying to figure out what the bathroom is,
don't fucking ask the director.
You don't have to ask me. You don't. You really don't. You know. And I didn't know that until later on the line where I have 20 people trying to figure out, hey, where should I park? I don't know. I'm trying to set up the shot, you know. There's people to take care of that. So that's what I always say with my crew. Everybody. Everybody. Like makeup, everyone is like, we get to location, and the first thing you're going to see them look is, where's the bathroom? Where is the nearest, you know, parking spot? What is next to here? What is next in a corner? Oh, because that's that question.
Directions, yeah.
Like those little questions are always so important when you're in set. So for me, it's like, I would rather spend the time in set. Not as a person, but on set, for an actor to be like, Joe, you know what? Like, I really don't get this line. Let's talk about it. I'd rather spend my time like that than, oh, the bathroom? Yeah, you're going to go to, give me 1 second. To you, as an actor. And yeah, you're going to go to the left and you're going to go to the right. For what? Like, he already went to someone else. So that's what I call it.
Yeah.
You, the first director in the set, the next one on command. I go down, who else is going to step in? That's how it works. So that's one of the things that you learn.
Yeah.
So for me, questions is like, ask all of them, bro, because it's important to you. And if it's important to you, that means it's important to the story.
Yeah.
Period.
Exactly. and that's what the product is the most important. Everybody giving their best input.
Absolutely.
And performing their best. And I feel like, just with characters being, in character, actors being in character, director needs to be on point too.
And directing,
like,
right?
you don't have just, these actors doing their scene. You have the blocking, the sound, everything we mentioned before, the lighting,
everything,
the setting. Like for instance, in the scene that we filmed, okay, are labels showing?
Yeah, that's a big one.
I don't want a big ass Coca-Cola bottle sitting in the middle of my scene because one, that's gonna take away from shit, and two, they're not paying me, and then also copyright.
And it's
shit
not important,
like that.
right? Like it's not pushing the story. So I gotta set up this whole wall and change the labels.
Yeah.
And
Let's not take away from what the main thing is.
Yeah, but it's important.
It's a lot of things, and then if Jim and Michelle come to ask you where the bathroom is, it's like, okay, you're not worrying about that now. Now you miss stuff.
Exactly. And it's like, I really don't know what the bathroom is. I seriously, I tried to like,
I asked to.
Yeah, like I never go to the bathroom. This is like while I'm recording, it's something that's a human nature. Like I can't, I just can't. I had to like, be in the moment, right? So because I had to be ready for when you come to me and ask me, did I come in from the left or did I come in to the right? I had to be there, and the idea is to create this together. So that's what I was saying when like a lot of people say that I'm an actor director because I really listen to what you got to do. I take acting classes, not because I want to be an actor. I really don't think I have what I want to be an actor. That's not my call, I think, but
understanding.
But I should know if I ask
the
you
answers.
I ask
you need to know I line.
I'm asking you to cry.
Yeah.
Right? I better know freaking how to cry.
Yeah.
I better have been in that position where now you had to think all these thoughts, or maybe not. Or I had an actor who would cry for everything. I was just like, this scene doesn't require sad or anything. Don't cry. And he would cry for everything. So I had to learn how to like not get him on that spot, because I know that you start going.
Triggers.
There's some actors who like you get 2 minutes of me crying, and it's not that they know.
And then they just run out.
They just run out.
Yeah.
And it's not that they can't. It's just their body. We're not meant to be crying for 2 minutes.
Like, okay, like I'm chilling right now, but like I'm trying to trick myself really good.
Yeah. So guess what? I won't ask you to go into those 2 minutes until I know I have those 2 minutes, right? So it's that you start learning how to do things and start appreciating everyone's job and everyone's commitment to what they're doing, which at the end of the day, it's a product and it's a massive effort.
Yeah.
You don't go anywhere without a team. Like that is bottom line, like you cannot do everything for yourself. You can do as much as you can do.
Yeah.
But we were just talking about it. There's things that go around that you can't take, like, hey, it rained today. It rained today.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we ain't shooting that shot.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It rained today. I gotta move on to the next thing and the next thing, and that's how it is. But it's beautiful though. Like once you look at it from the perspective of like, wow, that's the movie. The work can be better. Like it really is. Like for me, being on set, a day on set is like the coolest thing I can do.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that we do.
It's something that we love that we're making time for.
Absolutely.
Like you said, you got a 9 to 5. You're wrestling. You're doing your thing. You're taking your lumps, taking your bruises. But when you get to go film, you get to go film.
Oh my God.
Let's make something.
I prepare like right now for the premiere. I already have a whole I gotta prepare for the premiere. It's like I'm gonna take a shower, take it down a little bit. You know what I mean?
I gotta use soap.
I gotta relax, and then I gotta be in my office. And I have kind of what you got going on here, where there's a lot of you in my office. I have all my achievements and awards, but not the ones that the world gives me. Not
for you.
Yeah. No, I have a slate that someone gave me on my first short film, and it was like, hey, I bought this as a prop for me because I'm an actor, and I turned out that this is like, it was like one of those really old school like charcoal that you had to like write on them, right? And then I was like, sign it for me, and now it's on my wall forever.
Nice.
And it's like those little things, like right now you're gonna see in the premiere, I print out a poster for me, and I have a frame and sign everything. Anything. I told him like anything that you wish you would have told me and you didn't. I'm not gonna read this until probably 6 months from now when I finally had time to be like, all right, the movie's over. Oh wait a minute, what's that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that's dope.
That's
Yeah.
what I do. It's my little time capsule of what I live, because I'm not gonna be able to be there. And now those are my trophies. Those are the things. So I need a minute with all of them, and I'm just gonna relax. All right, showtime. Let's go to the premiere, and then go get a new one. That's something that I got used to of doing because of doing so many times.
Yeah.
But it's difficult. Sometimes people get upset. They're like, oh, my movie only got like 50 views on YouTube. I'd be like, bro,
look at everything you learned and the experience that you went through.
Stand in front of 50 people and then read your script. How would you do that? That. What you gonna feel? What is it gonna happen?
There's nothing better than doing a table read and just losing yourself in the story and saying, "Oh,
wait a minute, what?"
Yes, like, oh man, she did what? Oh
yeah.
shit!
It's great because you understand you're part of that. Mm-hmm. Like I love actors who always see like, oh, this is my project too. Because some actors come in and like, I'm gonna do my thing, and then I'm gonna go, all right, bye, nice meeting you. Let me know whenever you release it, right? Mm-hmm. Or can I have the footage now? Which is totally fair, and it's something that we should provide as directors. So if you're not doing it, you should. But also, when you take ownership of the project and you like, I did that. Well, you were only there in like 2 scenes. I did that. I'm part of that.
Damn straight.
I'm there
because every person, every moment counts.
Yeah. If without that scene, the story doesn't.
It doesn't drive.
It doesn't work,
yeah.
It doesn't. If you were not standing at that moment and someone said that movie's great, it's because you were part of that. You were great.
Whether it was 1% of the pie or 99%,
it's yours.
You put that part.
That's how it is.
Yeah, man, it's exciting. It's that's one of the reasons why I always loved film. Ever since I was a young kid, is the effort and the teamwork.
It's a miracle, brother.
Yeah.
It really is a miracle, and you always need someone to be driving the bus. But at the end of the day, if like whatever's not working, I gotta look back, and there better be 30 people back there,
trying to figure some stuff out.
And those 30 people are not going to be your crew, because you understand there's levels of things, right? I don't have a 30-man crew. I wish I did, but I don't. However, what we're talking about, there's always those people who are like, I believe you. Mm-hmm. That actor that was there as an extra for the first time on one of my short films, being in the bus. I need him in the bus. I need him to look at me and be like, you figured it out before. This is not going to stop you now. Why is it now stopping you, right? So that's what I was saying. Like, as you go along, you understand that it's not all about, like, there's movies that were made by pure accident, you know? And there's movies who were like, we're going to do this to the T. And you can look at them successfully, financially. I can tell you that a lot of movies happen just by pure mistake, and they are great. One that just released was Beetlejuice. Nobody believed on Beetlejuice. Nobody wanted to watch Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice was not a thing. And then it became a cult classic. Yeah. And then now you're like, oh, wait, Tim Burton did it? Well, yeah. Well, obviously, Tim Burton did it. He did it when he wasn't known.
Before he was Tim Burton.
Before he was Tim Burton. Yeah. You know what I mean? So now there's a line on the theaters trying to watch Beetlejuice 2. That's the power. But then I also like counterpart to it, and not talk smack about any other movie, but counterpart. You have Transformers 17 is releasing the same day that we releasing the film, and like in the theaters, and there's 39 Transformers. Don't get me wrong. I love Transformers, and that's great.
But it's like Fast and the Furious. You get lost in the sauce. What is which one?
What am I? Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. There's a new Transformer, and it's like, what? Like, what is that important? Why does that matter? You know what I mean? So that's where I'm like. That's what I'm talking about. And those movies.
You said Transformers 17.
You know what I mean? And they put that to the T. They're like, we need all these things to happen, and it's like, or an experimental. Halloween, Friday the 13th, things where people were having fun.
I think that's a big reason why I fell in love with horror, because it doesn't take too much money. Right. You could show up and just make some stuff happen, do some stuff. Yeah. Everybody gets there. Oh man, the actors are like, I think I should fall like this, and you're like, yeah, you should fall like that. Right, and then the light guy is like, oh man, and I could go from here to here, and I can really get the angle, and then it's like, all right. Fuck it. Let's try it. Next thing you know, you're sitting back like, oh my God.
I have so much now. Yeah. That's the best project. And I call it a control madness. Yes. I think I said this before with you, but it's like, try to enjoy it when you got going on right now, brother. Like, I'm enjoying the heck out of this because I put this time for this.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
if I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here.
Yes,
You know
yes.
what I
Nothing
mean?
else matters.
Yeah,
You know, all the adversity I faced today, that was earlier. Now I can sit
Like,
here
I'm
and
here.
talk about stuff that I like.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
know, it's that reward of being like, yeah, I did that thing, you know? So when I try to, you know, you always going to try, but at least I always try to have my films and my scenes and things to always have that vibe of, hey, we're trying it, you know, like let's see
if we can do
you
this.
and I had an idea of the character, we talk about it, we got there, and then I was like, let's try this. To Steve working out, hey, how about this? And I'm like, I like that. How about this? Oh, I like that. And he was like, how about blah, 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 blah.
Feeding off each other.
And then out of nowhere, we haven't even recorded. And then out of nowhere, I'm like, all right, action. Are we getting rough, bro? You know what I mean? That's the idea. You had a great time. I had a great time. The movie looks great. Let's keep doing that. And
Yes.
that's what I'm saying. I think horror is definitely one of those areas where you can definitely play
Let
with.
loose.
Yeah,
'Cause
you know.
you have to.
Like you had to.
You
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, I don't, you know, when I was a kid, I always thought of like, oh my God, like this is really happening. And then I became an adult and I was like, man, I bet this was like really fun to record. You know, I'm like, hey.
It's so much fun. It's exhilarating.
Yeah, it's different.
Like I filmed a horror movie. I can't say anything, but I filmed a horror movie over the summer.
Okay.
And like when you're on set and like when you get lost in a sauce and you're just that character, it's like, holy shit, like I'm about to die. Run!
I know, I'm about to die. And you
Like
gotta keep going.
I'm saying things like naturally because I'm just reacting. It's like if you have a monster coming at you or monsters
you gonna
coming at you, when I'm running, I'm saying, "Oh shit! Oh shit!"
no, hell
It's
no.
like because that's how I'm reacting. It's like I'm trying to survive right now. I'm not.
I don't care.
If I'm lost, like that character was not quiet.
I'm like, I gotta
I have to get my ass out of here.
Yeah, I might even drop some stuff in the house.
Yeah.
You gotta do, you know.
You have to be in it.
And I think like our job as a director is to give you that freedom to be able to understand. So it's like actor, you need to like, okay, who am I, right? But also I need to give you that freedom. When you say like, this is something that I always talk about, and I always take it from Guillermo del Toro. So he says, okay, so you as a director, you go to this fabric store. You know, they have these beautiful fabrics, you know, something that they make really nice, you know, fabrics. And then you come in and the store is the actor. You go to the actor and you're like, hey, can you give me this beautiful, you know, green screen? You know, this beautiful green. I want this green. And then you as an actor say, yeah, here's the green. Or you could even say, you know what? I know you want green, but I've been working in this really cool red. Can I show you this really cool red? And then you go and you bring this beautiful, nice, shiny red. And I'm just like, do you have this on a less shiny red? And I do. And you take it out, you know, and now it's red and it's not shiny. And I'm like, all right, let's try. You know, I like this. Let's try it. And then you try it, and then you're like, you know what? Okay, this is crazy. But there's this blue that I saw this one time, and I went to college and I did this character with this blue. Oh, let's try it. And then now you're wrapped up in blue. I came in with a green. Now we're in blue. Now we're like, oh my God. And then for some projects, I would say, you know what? That's better. I like that. And now we build something together. Or for some other projects, you can still be like, okay, let's go back to this beautiful green that I wanted to. And it's my job to be able to see that, you know? And if you're so caught up as a director saying, this is the only thing you can get, this green, this is what I want.
It's gonna be forced. It's gonna be unnatural.
And it's not gonna you're not gonna have fun. It's gonna be, and I'm not saying sometimes you do need that green, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I had to make someone cry. And it's like, you know, and she was very prideful. And she was like, she is such a feminist and like super strong. And I can feel it deep in her head. She's like, I'm not gonna cry for this man. You know, I know that was what she was battling, but she's like, I'm an actress, so I gotta do it. So I had to get under her skin.
Poke her a little bit.
I gotta do it. It's my job. I hated it. I apologized like crazy, and I was like, I'm so sorry. Let me take you out to dinner. Afterwards, of course. But at the time, it's like,
that's what was necessary to get that performance.
Yeah, and I was playing. I was like, I talked to my crew. You know, we took a break, and I played it like it was really like, oh my God, I hate this. You know, and I talked to my crew, and I was like, hey guys, just follow along, okay? And then everybody take a break. Can you, you know what? Just stay in that, because she was in a really awkward position, and I can't talk about it, but it's like awkward in a weird, like you're not comfortable. Like, you know, like if you've seen it for too long, you're not comfortable, right? It's kind of like that. She was on the floor, and I was like, oh, you just stay there right now. I'll be right back. I just need to set up. So everybody went to a break, and she's just there, like, you know, all right, let's do action. So we're rolling, right? And then before she says anything, I'm like, no, that's bad. Let's do. And I never use words like that. I never say bad, wrong, ugly. You work with me. I always be like, let's try this. Oh, I like that. Let's how about lose this a little bit. I never try to be that negative. It's always like with her. Until she was pissing me, and I can feel it. It only took like 3 or 4 takes when she was pissing me, and I was like, "What? You want to cry?" No, I'm not gonna cry. Well, that's what I need. All right, let's do it again, and just keep right. And then it got to a point when she was like, "Oh, he's trying to make me cry," and now she felt bad that she was like not crying for me, and now she forgot completely about this feminist and man, and now she was like really upset because I try to, you know, especially if you make something with me, I try to. You're my baby, bro. I'm gonna protect you. We're gonna have fun. You know, as a director, some actors need a dad, some actors need a brother, some actors just need some friend, some actors just need, you know, a mom, a teacher. You name it. And it's my job to identify that and give you that. So with her, I was like, you know, and whatever. This older dude that was doing the scene with her, he cried like easy, like nothing. He would just like cry like there's no tomorrow for anything. Easy to cry. And what this was doing to Herm was that he was like, okay, I gotta cry in this scene, and then cut. No, this is not. So now he was getting frustrating, and now he's like, I can't cry. I need to go in and cry, but I can't even step. So it was this madness that I had control, right? And then I give the signal to my DP. Everybody was like, this is the one that we're gonna do. Let's record. But I played it. All right, action, whatever. And then I played it through, and I give the signal to this guy to walk in, and I was like. And again, same thing. I let him go. And now he was holding all that cry for so long that when he got in, it was like,
he was torn, yeah.
And now she was like crying because he was seeing him crying. Like, he was just beautiful. And we got it. It took us 17 times to get it, but I only record 2.
Oh, so
I
you
record
knew
one.
what you were doing.
I recorded the first one. And I was like,
one for backup?
I recorded the first one as in like the very first time we came in.
Uh-huh.
And I knew that's when I found out it wasn't going to work. And I had to do all this process. And then the one that stays in the movie is the last one that I recorded.
Nice.
Because I didn't want them to, if it was unnecessary for them to like keep doing it, we're done.
Yeah.
But we got it. I was like, this is it. They came out, hugged them. It was like, sorry, but that's what we needed for that particular scene. You know?
I like that when a director can push you for the
good. For the good.
Within reason.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, don't call me no bitch or nothing like that. It's like or degrading.
There's ways. There's ways to do it. There's
ways to manipulate in a positive manner.
Yeah, I can't. It's the same thing like we were talking about. Like, hey, if I tell you to look at the sky, like, what would you do? People like
look at the sky.
Yeah, right. As a director, right. As a director, I also can be like, I need you to cry. No, I can't tell you that. I can't say like, okay, in this scene, you're really, really sad. No, dude.
It's gonna be forced.
I gotta give you like, all right, well, how's your day going? Let's talk about it a little bit and get you to the point and be like, yeah, you know, let's say that I know something about your dad. That's when I bring up your dad. Hey, tell me about your dad. What's going on with your dad? Oh, well, you know, he was in a home, and I'm like, why? You know, that's not crazy. My dad was get that connection. Be like, all right, anyways, we're gonna start rolling, yeah. And now you as an actor, now you're like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna cry.
You've instilled that emotion. And now that's what their brain and their body is feeling is that emotion, and then you snap to it. Let's work.
Let's get it. You know,
nice.
That's something that you learn
over time. Yeah,
and that's what I would always bet that getting to know your actor would always make it better than telling your actor like you got to do this 100%. Because just like I explained you with the whole fabric store, right? I might be like, dude, I really need that green. Oh my gosh, she has this really cool red. That's cool. Let's use that. And if I didn't give you the chance to show me the red,
we would have never even got.
I would have been stuck with my green and my green and my green and my green and my green. It got me nowhere.
There's gonna be one dimension.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, man, premiere is tomorrow.
Yes.
You've been around the block a few times, but this movie I feel like has more. Means more to you. I've the way you speak about it, the way you talked about it at the table read. Like, you put some thought and a lot of rewrites and time and a laptop exploding and finding an email and doing all of these things.
Crazy story how it happens, right?
Yeah, that intertwine with the premiere tomorrow. So the day before, how are you feeling?
I'm super stressed. You can't always, I can always hide it, right? Because we do these a lot, but super stressed. Excited, I think is definitely the word, when you get to dress up and look nice and be in front of the cameras and the press and it's about the movie, but I think for the first time in a really long time, if not the first time in my career, I'm going to make it about myself.
Yes.
And, I also don't know how long I'm going to have my family for. Like, I don't know how many times I'm going to be able to hold my wife's right hand and my mom's left hand. I don't know how that many times. I hope forever until my career is over. But the reality of things is, like, things in my life are settling a little bit more to where, like, hey, things are happening. All you guys now, so utilize it, So that's, I think, the idea right now is I'm excited. I'm also really stressed because I had to put it together, right? Like, you don't get to work. I do, right? Like, what we're doing right now. But super excited. I'm very proud of the movie. This is the first movie that I'm not super about, like, how is it do? Are people going to like it? Is it going to break through? Is it going to go to Amazon Prime? Are we going to get views? Am I going to win awards? I'm not thinking it like that. I'm thinking it more of, like, this is a little biography of myself. It's a lot of me in the movie. So, if you get the opportunity to watch it, you getting to be my friend. You're getting to get to know me. And I think that's what it should be. It should be a little bit of your soul every time you finish something. Even this right now that we're doing, right? Like, obviously I'm talking, but people are going to get to know how and why did we make this movie and, who am I ultimately. So excited, really happy. I hope everything goes nice and smooth. I hope the movie plays. That's always the most important thing.
Yeah, right.
That's what I told her. I'm like, even if everything breaks down, as long as the movie plays,
that's all that matters.
I don't really care,
Man.
But I do think that this is the best movie I made, and that only makes sense because of the work and the experience that we had put. Doesn't mean that it's going to be the best movie in the world or the best movie that I ever going to make, but it is the best one yet, and that's what I'm excited about, getting to do this all over again, and enjoy this, where I'm actually, because it took me so long, I'm taking the time to say, look, this is your time to talk, let the movie speak, get to where it needs to get, and then we can start fresh and start a new anything, whatever it is. But I was telling you, funny enough, my wife, I told you when we had that conversation the other day, she's more of the spooky girl, like I was saying, so she actually is thinking of writing a horror.
I was just going to ask.
So maybe we'll go there, maybe that's the next stop. I want to do something really fun. Everybody I know is like, dude, you should write a comedy. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't see the value of a comedy as in, like, because I'm very, like, color detail person and I'm going to make it very cinematic. But, dude, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Like, that's where I am in my career.
Bro, yeah. Let's try this genre. Let's,
I think,
put our best foot forward and see what we could do, because that experience that you gain from that could roll over to something else, or you might fall in love and just say, man, I was totally wrong, man. Comedy is where it's
at.
I
am for me, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think you gotta do it.
You have
right?
to.
But you gotta follow through.
Yes.
That is the most important. The world will tell you, hey, you gotta do it. Hey, just do it. And
you can't half-ass it either.
But you gotta follow through with it, bro.
Yeah, it's nothing more frustrating than, actors or crew members putting in their time and effort for something that never releases.
Man,
it's frustrating.
I never experienced that. Again, I understand that it's something that it's supposed to be for me. Like, I'm the one that have full saying on that. But it never happened to me before where you don't get your footage, you don't get your films. Like, I'm like, if the only thing that the best that I can give you is what you made.
Yeah.
So why not give you that, right? And
I think a lot of people are self-conscious. Maybe they're like, man, I'm not doing what I hope to do, and I'm embarrassed to put this out, regardless if it's good or bad.
Yeah.
Because Joe Castro, I don't know if you know who that is, but I interviewed him, and he said it's not about a movie being good or bad. Are people entertained?
I agree. I also think that it's not a matter of, like, having it doesn't matter what the movie makes. It doesn't matter, like, in this level, excuse me, but I'm not going to pay my mortgage every month, every year because of this movie. That's not what's going to happen, But you know what's gonna happen? It's gonna open the door so I
Or
can
that
go.
happens.
I can go make that movie
Yeah.
that will do that for me.
And that's the ultimate
You know?
goal, man. When
Like-
that 9 to 5 goes away and this becomes my life, that's when we fucking made it, baby.
Yeah, oh, that's absolutely, and that's the thing, right? You gotta get there, and how
You
do
gotta
do
put it in reps.
you gotta
Gotta
get
put it
in
in
there,
reps.
you know. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, if you make something and you follow through with it, like I understand that there's some people because I took down my very first I made a short film and then I made a series, and
Oh, hell
I made
yeah.
like 10 episodes on YouTube, and I made it with friends, and I mean that it's I learned that I'm not a series guy because there's so much more on a series than a film. You know, like there's continuity and
Yeah.
the feeling, the timing, the stamps what you're trying to get across. You need to stretch a story, make it shorter. Like
Pacing.
you need to understand 10 episodes ahead what's going to happen. If you don't have that written, you know, every time you show up to set, there's going to be a new story, and the story is going to start doing this. Instead of going in a straight line, it's just going to go crazy.
Yeah.
Things that I had to learn really young in my career. But this helps me to where, like, now I'll be like, okay, that's important. You got to get timing. You got to get to the right place. You got to get the right light, the right lens, the right thing, you know? So again, it's like, I understand that it is not the end goal. It's not, we're not at the end goal yet, but the goal is to get there. And the only way to get there is by you pushing yourself to get there, you know?
Yeah.
Because like you were saying, I don't understand. And it seems to be a thing very normal around where actors just don't get like their footage, or they don't ever get that project released, you know? Like when I was like, and it hurt me because I'd be like, oh no, we're making this project or whatever. And I'm just always been this legit, like, we're going to make this project, bro.
Well, we're skeptical because we didn't
Right.
been burned over
And
so many
I
times.
didn't understand that until recent years where I was like, no, dude, like there's actual people out there who are like, no, dude, like I'm from here and I make this and I done this. Like, look at my reel, you know? And sometimes that reel happened to be stolen, or like, you know, like,
Man.
like people like, because as a filmmaker, think about it. It's very easy to say, I made that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you, if I say, oh, I made that, wouldn't you trust me? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I
after
have
this
no
conversation,
reason not to.
would I say, yeah, oh hell yeah, bro? So I get it. Like people take advantage, and that's what I see you guys as my babies. You know, like again, everybody needs something different and said. But at the end of the day, man, I'm here
It's
to
a family.
Yo,
Yeah.
if you're gonna make this movie for me, I want to remember that robbery guy. Like I want to remember that scene. I want to remember that punch. I want to remember everything that happened, because those are the little golds and medals that I told you I take home. Right? Those are the things for me. So it's really weird. I mean, I would love if I could ask you a question. Like, it's crazy to think that happens. Like, why do you think that happens so much? Or what can we do as filmmakers to address that?
Time. With Vegas going in the direction that it's going, we all have to be more accountable, you know, because I've heard many directors and producers say how the Vegas actors are not reliable. But then I've heard Vegas actors say, hey, I showed up to set, nobody's here. And my call time is right now. Nobody's here. Director's not picking up. Nobody's answering. So it's like, okay, I see both of that.
Right.
So I think in time and showing up and showing out, and the more we all do that as a whole, we could develop trust with each other.
And the only way to develop trust is by doing it, right?
Doing it.
So
yeah.
it's unfortunate because
you just got to keep doing what you're
'cause
doing.
You and I had to make that step of like, let's see, you know. I learned a lot of those things, like where, you know, I would think like, oh my God, it's like you see an actor and then the actor goes cast, and then you cast for them, you cast them actually, and then you call them and you're like, yeah, we're gonna have a great, and then 3 weeks before shooting, it's like, no man, I won't be able to make it, which is crazy to me.
I understand,
you know?
life happens.
Of course, but like
that it can't be your MO.
And it's like, it's crazy. I also think like, because you got to be realistic of where you are, right? Like if you're going to be making a film of whatever, like you understand that it's not going to get you to, a big Wagner's brother production. But in order to get there, you got to get through these reps. Same thing with me. In order for me to be able to give you that Warner's brother production, I got to get somewhere, I think I always had this fight with the LA filmmakers, because when I started really young in my career here in Vegas, it was like, oh, I'm an LA filmmaker. And that was all you needed for you to take the best actors And then this would happen where you guys nobody shows up. There's no, just because you heard an LA filmmaker.
And you're like, no.
Actors, I mean, God.
I feel like those are just sheep, man. Following the herd, like I'm going to do my research. I want to see who you are. Well, I'm also not a deer in headlights anymore.
Which is great.
I've been doing this.
You have to learn.
Yeah, you got to get fucked over a couple times.
Well, I done it. I probably still do.
Yeah, but yeah, you just gotta understand that there's people out there that suck and want to rob you and want to waste your time and want to do all this other thing.
Close the door, right? You
just keep it pushing. You got to say, well, that sucked. Okay,
let's keep going, right? Yeah. And that's what I guess at the very beginning of all this conversation where we were like, dude, it's crazy to just like not understand that you can't follow through. I understand things happen and life is difficult, but like I implemented the whole like commitment card and everything that you had to sign and things that we read together and those icebreakers, because believe it or not, I had projects where it's like, oh, I'll be there, bro. We go table read, day there, and then day of shooting, nobody shows up, and it's like, what happened? What did I do wrong? Because you start thinking as a filmmaker, but like the more that you get into it, like I think my biggest thing is like having someone who comes from somewhere else and being like, oh, you heard that name, like, LA, whatever. And then I don't know where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go put myself in a really uncomfortable situation because an LA filmmaker told me. And I think as the Vegas community filmmakers, we need to start stepping up and putting our grounds and saying, hey, we are an LA community.
Yeah.
No, we're not. We Las Vegas community, right?
Yeah, it's a difference. And we're not no Hollywood 2.0. We're making Vegas our own. And that's why if we have to purge out those people that don't show up to set, or the people that don't follow through and release their movies, or follow through and make sure that the day-to-day operations are proceeding as they're supposed to, or as best as possible, we got to purge them out. They got to go. And because it's giving a bad rap to us. Because when the money comes here, we don't want them to outsource. We want them to use us. So that means our reputation as a whole, Joseph's reputation, Levi's reputation, they both matter together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because when that $100 million or $1 billion, whatever the fuck it is, to be allocated out to X amount of movies, are they gonna say, "Hey, I'm gonna give Joseph an opportunity because he released Jadis and this is his resume and we know we could rely on him and he's gonna come, he's gonna be prepared, he's gonna put his heart and soul into this," or is he gonna have the main actor there 6 hours early?
Think about that, right? And like imagine or having like what would you call it, like having bringing someone from LA. And that's another thing that I see all the time. We did a commercial because I have a production company too, and we did a commercial where like all I did like the the gaffer stuff and like moving around, and I rented my stuff. But it was really crazy that the guy he was all right. So the director locally was all right. I'm gonna go get this director from LA, and I'm not a director, a DP from LA, and this gaffer from New York, and I'm a dude.
That's a slap in our faces.
And to me, like I was lucky enough because he just didn't want to like rent equipment, like everything. He just wanted to have something where you can just be like, all right, let me open the box and see, keep coming out. Luckily enough, again, because I have invested a lot in myself, even if people don't like to think that way, but I'm able to have my equipment and I'm able to pick up my camera and be like, I'm gonna go make a movie. I don't have to rent. And again, it's a luxury that I have because I put a lot of time and money into this. But for me, to hear that there's a DP coming from LA and a gaffer coming from, it's like
F you, man.
Dude, it's not.
I've been busting my ass for this opportunity, and you're going to outsource and not even give me an opportunity?
I was lucky enough to still be part of that project because I was doing the rentals and stuff. Yeah. So I was involved in a way or not. But like, if you would have asked me, I would have told you the best gaffer in town. If you would have asked me, I would have gave you a great GP.
We can't do that. Like as a Vegas community, the indie community is relying on people that can't rely on people.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It's always gonna be my thing. It's like don't expect for someone out that doesn't know who you are or cares for you to look at you and say, "I want you." You know, you are the one that had to make your
own name.
Yeah, I mean,
make your own opportunity.
Absolutely. I saw your podcast that you had the actors, and I thought it was really cool, and I think you should keep doing that, where you have all the 3 actors into different point of view. And it's for me as a filmmaker, that was very refreshing because you get to hear a nice plain, like, you know, there's not a filmmaker in the room, and now you're just like talking about how you feel and how would you want to do things, and you know,
freely.
Correctly.
Yeah.
And I get to pick up those things and I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. You know,
yeah.
Like one of those things that they brought up was like, I think it was you or someone else brought up, but it was like, you know, there's a lot of actors who say, you know what, screw this LA filmmakers. I'm just going to go and make my own movie with my friends.
Yeah, that's what Kat and I preach.
That's
Adam Sandler approach.
Big time.
Like, that's what I hear a lot from you. Is like you have the people that you rock with, the people that you love, the people that you can count on, the people that make you happy, the people that will also challenge you when you need to be challenged. I don't think this view is the best way. I think we should tilt it like this a little bit. Those people that are not afraid to push you to be the best you and themselves.
Absolutely.
And with Kat and I, we're getting ready to do like our 3rd or 4th movie together already.
Great. And that's the thing, right? It's
and
like,
we're co-hosting on the podcast at times, building chemistry so we can go
exactly. And that's the thing. Like if you don't put the time and the effort, and you know, you don't have to listen to those people who say go buy the best camera, otherwise you're not going to be a good filmmaker. No. It's the same thing as like saying, hey, you know, if you don't get, if you only got $20 for your for paying, then you're doing shitty movies. Who says that?
Those are the people that, you know, you're going to run out of money and fucking mental fortitude to keep going after 8 months. Like,
don't get me wrong. I think there's a couple of things like your resume, having headshots and things like that are important. But I don't need you to print 30, headshots and just pass them around to producers like crazy because you think you're going to get a callback from that headshot.
That shit is going to go in the trash most likely.
Don't do that. You know what you can do? Put your work. Record yourself in front of the camera. Put it out there. Put it out there. Put it out there. Oh, today I don't feel good. Record yourself. Not feeling good. You know. Hey, oh my God, I just watched this movie. Super funny. Recreate that scene. You have a phone because I'm guessing you have a phone. Obviously, not everyone does, but I'm saying now we live in an era where a phone has a really good camera. Record yourself doing that. See how yourself. See if this. Put yourself next to a superstar and be like, oh, I need a lot to work on it. Commit to yourself. Put yourself next to a friend of yours. You know, you as an actor, record yourself and then record a friend of yours doing exactly the same thing. See how he would do it. See what you're doing better. See what you're doing not so good. Figure it out. Put in the works. Yeah. We don't need LA people to tell me that I did a great job. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I need for my people to tell me that they enjoy working with me. That's
because it's going to continue to happen.
That's what it is.
Let's go out here. Let's make these movies, and I could trust you to give me what I need, and vice versa, and we can go grow and get the reps in together while also putting out a product that's fucking fire.
It's crazy. Like the amount of times that I told my actors that I end up there's really little actors that go out there who are like, I want to be a filmmaker, because a lot of the actors, they're just kind of like, I just want to act, and that's okay. But guess what? Like before I could go and produce a movie for someone else and do something else for anybody else, I had to do it for myself. You know, nobody
is going to give you a chance if you have nothing to show for it.
Nobody, brother. Nobody looked over my script and was like, oh, let me see if this is going. Nobody. Before that happened, I needed to do it myself. I needed to be like, hey, I'm going to roll the dice on this short film, see what happens. Oh, that didn't work out. Let's move on to the next thing. But guess what? I'm bringing something with me.
Yeah.
And most of the time,
X, Y, and Z. Hey, this was amazing. This was amazing. This was horrible. Don't ever do that again. Oh, yeah, it rained. Don't forget covers.
Hey, what the fuck happened? Okay, let me just put that down.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like all those things that happen, and they're gonna keep happening until the day we die. You know, I mean, one of my favorite things is like Jaws. You know, they spend all the budget, and when I mean all the budget, I mean all the budget on the freaking shark. Yeah. You know, for the first Spielberg movie. And
was it animatronic?
It was animatronic or whatever. Yeah, and you know they had this. You look at his storyboard. Crazy things that were gonna happen with the shark. He was gonna come out and cut someone in half and crazy stuff. They get
Can't
there,
do that.
They put it in the water, it dies.
Oh,
they had a shark movie without a shark. How? What? Excuse me? All of the budget went into that. Like I mean it. Like literally, like 80% of the budget went to this thing that now it's in the water and it doesn't work.
Oh man.
What do? You can either go home and say, well, we're going to make the best. All right, you go ahead and buy a $99 and put yourself as a shark, and now we're making a comedy. Or, all right, now or you can go back, take a break, rewrite the whole thing, and utilize what you have around you.
So what they do?
They didn't show the shark. They created it in a way in where they show it from the point of view of the shark. And every time, everything happened from the shark, and everything shark, and they show it one time in the movie. You see the shark one time, and you don't even see it. You just kind of see it. And that was it.
That's a great point,
First
man.
movie that Spielberg ever directed. Imagine, you can put in all this big budget, and the people are expecting you, and you commit to this idea of this mechanic shark, and it doesn't work. What do? And that's what shows, because that time, hey, we're going to check if we're going to make him in the water, we better, maybe I shouldn't shoot in the middle of the ocean. Maybe I should shoot in a pool. Maybe, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he learns to where, now I can tell you, he's one of the best directors in history, not because it's awarded in cinematography, which I think he does beautifully, but he has fun. Mm-hmm. When he makes movies, he has fun. And that's all it is about. Yeah. People who work with him have a great time. People who work with and around and actors, and they want to come back because it's a Spielberg. And it's not only a guarantee that it's going to be a good work, but it's going to be a good day on set. Yeah. And that's what I inspired to
that matters.
Morale
is high. Not every day is going to be perfect weather or controlled temperatures or anything like that.
Absolutely.
What if you're perfect example back with Jaws? Those motherfuckers are in the water all day.
Yeah.
They're cold. They're shivering. That sucks. Okay, cut. All right, get out the water. You're covered up. You're shaking. All right, let's go one more time. Oh, my God.
In the water.
One more time. Oh, my God. Here you go. You're jumping in and out. Your eyes are burning. Your skin is wrinkling up. Yeah. These are things that nobody really thinks about. So it's if you get off and they're the director's just you suck. It's come on, I'm not getting in the water again. Figure it out.
Exactly. Right. And that's the thing. That's what I just kind of wanted to bring it to the Vegas LA situation where it is crazy to me to see that where actors get shiny by you open the treasure and they're oh, there goes LA, and it's or name whatever you want, name it whatever. And sometimes they're they let people us not take so many opportunities. Because they're I had an actor who would look back at my whole history and everything that I ever did. And at the time I was afraid. And I was oh my gosh, why are they looking at what I done? But also later on the line, I was yeah, I'm glad you did your homework. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you know who I am. I'm glad you've seen my work. I'm glad you've seen where I was. I'm also glad that you know where I am. And I'm ready to surprise you with the new thing I'm going to do. And if you believe on the first short film guy, you're gonna be in love with the new feature film guy. That's how it's going to be, man. But we both had to, like I said, I was younger. I was really afraid. Imagine if I just let me see everything you're done, and then just have a list of things you're done, and you're
that's badass. No, don't be shy. That's badass. You put in the work. You put in the time and the effort, and that's what people are gonna see.
Now,
if you're this really good actor or whatever position you're in, director, producer, whatever, right? If you look at their history and you look at their films, they're that sucks, that sucks, that sucks, that sucks. It's but they're still here. And now they're this well-developed, well-crafted, open-minded person that could go and take a character and do wonders with it.
Absolutely.
Because they went through all of that.
Yeah.
So are you going to judge them and say, I'm not going to give them a chance? Or are you going to say, this dude is fantastic, let's go with it?
Right.
Because they went and did short films.
Exactly.
When I went back and looked at a lot of actors' IMDb, and they were doing, I forget which, Zazie Beetz.
Okay.
I think she's beautiful. Oh, my God. Shout out.
Yeah, gotta say it.
Bless you. She was in Atlanta, and Atlanta was booming. After that, she's still doing short films. It's okay, she's well known. She did Deadpool 2 and then did short films. So it's are you gonna say, oh, she's doing short films? That's stupid. Or are you gonna say, oh, let me go check this shit out? Zazie motherfucking Beetz is in it, baby.
And sometimes you do it because of the fun of the character and
because this is what you love to do.
Yeah, with us, right? I mean, you can say you went in and auditioned for something. You can say that all you want because you did that. When you went in audition for us, but we had when we went out and reach out to people, we wouldn't reach out because we know of them and we want them to be part of the project. Is it going to be a guarantee? I don't know. That's what the casting is for us to understand how are you feeling, how are you as a person. You know, can I talk to you without you yelling for 2 seconds? Can I talk to you? Are you know how to follow directions? All those little things, right?
Yeah.
Very simple things.
Because you don't want to do 17 takes to get something.
Right. However, though, we are very specific with that. So if we ever reach out, we're not reaching out to like, I don't know if you ever seen me just posting like, hey, open cast or open call cast or like, you know, I normally be like, hey, I want to, or if I put it for a specific type of people, only this type of people, and hope that some of these really good people are going to come my way and are going to show up at the door and I can say, yes, I want them. You know what I mean? So it's like, as an actor, like you never know where the opportunity comes from, you know, and I can sit right here and tell you all the tips and everything that we do. And, you know, sometimes it's just about showing up. Sometimes, you know, sometimes I had where I have 10 options and I'm like, damn, I got to figure this out. And sometimes it's like I have one option and I don't know how this is going to go. And it's the same thing that we were just talking about, that trust, that I'm like, I have one option, but I know that he came in, which shows me that he wants to be here.
Yeah.
And then we can work those 17 shots and we can work those 17 takes if need be. Because I know that
each one is going to have its own thing. It's just not bullshit.
Yeah,
We're all prepared and ready to go. It's just maybe we're seeing a different vision as it's happening in real time. And you got to adjust.
You got to do it, right?
Yeah.
And it's that's the beauty of this, of making films. Like nothing is set in stone. There's a script, right? But
we may scratch it.
You know?
And it happens so often, even with hits like Iron Man. They said they were pretty much improvising all of it. There were so many different drafts up to the days of filming.
There's as you're filming it,
Yeah,
there's
they're like,
people
no,
writing-
scratch. Oh, yeah, say this. Oh, wow, this would be amazing.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if they're doing that at the top still,
What can we do?
okay, keep your creative spirit going.
Yeah. You know, like seriously, like why can't we do it? Ultimately, that's what I think. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you, Levi, because, you know, obviously I appreciate what you do and I see the work that you put in, especially when you invited me for that one night that we had the movie stuff. But also it shows in everything else because it's like you were saying, like, you know, I don't walk in saying I'm an awarded Mexican filmmaker. I don't walk into you letting you know that. I will want you to find out.
Yeah.
And that's your job, and I think it's your homework to understand who you're talking to, you know? Because I don't want to come off as cocky and like, oh, I done this thing, because that doesn't matter. Nothing matters. All it matters is what I did last time.
Yeah. Hey, you met Kyle.
You know? Yeah.
So Kyle has something that I live by. He's, you know, an audio guy. He says, I'm only as good as my last mix.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's true.
And that's a metaphor. For me, it's a literal for him. For me, it's a metaphor of I'm only as good as the last product that I did.
Absolutely.
My last podcast. And that's why I had to trash Kim's episode, which we'll get it going again. It's just because if this is my standard and this is just like, oh, man, you can't go backwards.
But you recognize the mistake now before he gets there, right? So that's kind of what, going back to what we're saying with the filmmakers not delivering. You know, there's a point where you understand it, and that's why you don't want it to go backwards, because you're like, I can make it better.
Yeah.
Not because you're like ashamed of what you did. You're just like, I know I can make it better. Let me make it better. You know what I mean? And the other side, it's like, if you don't make anything ever, how can you make it better?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You gotta make it, you know? And like I was saying, and again, not to blow smoke, because you already work with me. I don't, you know, you invite me here, so I'm really happy to be here. But this is the hard work that, you know, hopefully in the future, one of us can look and be like, Remember when I did that?
Yeah.
Remember when this was the thing? Remember when the most exciting thing I had was this? You know, now look at where we are. And now I'm not worried, like just like it happened to me, and it's happening, and I hope it keeps happening on my career, where I follow fuckers. Like, you know, I need that? Dude, I really? And then I did. I was like,
I know that's super impactful for you, bro, because you brought it up a few times. That's dope.
But it's one of those things where, like, for me, it completely, that was the thing.
Changed the game?
It took me out of the what I was doing. I was
Put you in
walking
that
by
seat.
and I was like, you mean I don't have to have someone doing it manually? You mean I can move the camera however I want? Because now I'm not worried about the focusing. Before it was like, we need to keep this much space between the camera and whatever. Now no more, right? So that's what I'm saying. And I say it for every step forward, you know. When I had my first movie premiere, it was like in a theater from a carne asada with friends to a theater,
to a sold out theater at
to
that
a sold
too.
out theater, to like now we're going to, and you never know what you're gonna get, and that's the point. Just keep hitting. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna look ugly for a minute. It's gonna hurt. There's gonna be days where you're probably gonna go home crying, saying, "I want to quit."
Very many.
They'll be for sure. But then once you come out of it, and for me, I have my 6 months pass. I look up at that poster and it's full of signs and people telling me like, "Yo, I love working with you. Let me know for the next one." Means a lot.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you really take home, because if my movies go and break ground and we do all this thing, amazing.
Yes.
But I also understand where I am right now, and where I am right now is I want to perfect my craft. I need to make more. I need to be better. I can't go into, Hollywood or Vegas now and be like, "Hey, can you make, I want to make
$10 million.
I can't say that.
Yeah.
I need to make $10 million and then say, all right, I know how a $10 million movie is.
Yeah.
Give me a second chance.
And how to scale.
Man,
like
it's crazy.
one thing that I've been seeing a lot lately and been thinking about, because I'm getting into writing. I'm into writing. I'm just doing it more. Don't write $1 million movie and have a $10,000 budget.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah.
Right. I always, when I started, this is something that I think helped me a lot in my career, was make the movies that you can make. That might hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
That might hurt a lot of people, but guess what? All I had was a warehouse and a wrestling ring. Guess what I make? A freaking movie about a wrestling ring in a warehouse.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do, and it may not be the next Deadpool and Transformer, 17 or whatever. Like, it's not gonna be that, and that's okay, as long as you understand that in order you'll get there. I almost can't guarantee you that. You're gonna get there, because for me, like going from the filmmaker from a phone to a cinema camera operator, it's something that I would have never thought when I was there. The same way that like right now I'm like, I can't think of a Deadpool movie. Right now it's not in the plans. Right now the plan is do what you can.
It's supposed to happen.
Make the movie you can make. I mean, JD seems like, for me, I mean, we flipped a car, we did some crazy stuff. It's amazing. But I still made the movie I could make.
Yeah.
Not the movie I wanted to make, not the movie that I wish I made, not the movie that I hope I make. I made the movie that I could make. And that's all I can deliver. And that's what I'm going to deliver, because I had to follow through, But then the next one would be the movie I can make. And that can make will be bigger than the last one I did. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's just that game of keep doing it, bro. Because I always get this question where people are like, "Oh, you got it so easy because you have all the equipment."
Who the hell has said that?
Many filmmakers have told me.
That shit pisses me off. Like I hate when people say you're so lucky. Like, you're so lucky. What the hell do you mean I'm lucky? You didn't see the decade plus that I've been working my ass off, or the times that I didn't go out drinking and partying because I was working, or the times I was saving up to buy this new piece of equipment and I sacrificed time with my family and trips with my family and date nights out and one-on-one time and all of that shit because I wanted this new lens. You didn't see any of that. When you were out going to the club and wasting all your money and buying drinks and buying BS, I didn't say anything. So don't say I'm lucky. Say I sacrificed and I was determined and I was focused.
It was.
Don't take away my hard work and credit because you're not doing it. That's not fair. Like you said, you're humble. I tend to think I'm humble too. I don't think I'm better or worse than anybody. I'm just
doing my thing.
I'm worried about myself, trying to make myself happy.
I agree.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, don't shit on me because you're not doing some shit. Don't discredit my hard work, my countless hour days, my 18, 19-hour days, 5-6 days a week for months at a time. Yeah. Don't say it's easy or you're lucky.
Yeah, like
luck has nothing to do with this.
With what you do. Yeah, I mean, this film, there was a couple of times where it was 3 a.m, maybe 4. And, I opened up my little sandwich and it was, because what I had, like for this particular, I have a Can-Am off-roading car, like a racer. And my garage is packed of shit because of filmmaking right now. And I was making a movie. I ain't got no time to be burning. So my truck doesn't fit in my garage right now. So guess what I got to do? The really expensive equipment that I bought, we got from filming at 2 a.m, 3 a.m. Take it out, put it in the garage. Take it out. Unload. unload. 4 in the
Takes
morning.
time, yeah.
If we had, you shot with me once, but we had per week, we had about 3 to 4 scenes. So realistically, I only got like 2 days a week, like off. And obviously they weren't off because I was editing and doing my thing, because obviously I'm excited to have a movie. But, that's what happens. But nobody sees that. What you were saying, like, nobody sees you sitting at that door. I come in at 6, 7 in the morning to work. I went to bed at 4 in the morning after I ate my sandwich by myself in my dining table. Nobody sees that. They only see like, oh, that was a good scene. Oh, I hated this scene. Oh, he has it so easy because he has a film camera, because he has a crew. We get splashed at Food Productions. We get splashed all the time because we have a crew. They don't understand
how many years it took to assemble that crew and build that trust and gain that experience, all the things we taled about.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But the time it takes for that organic crew to come about.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Don't hate. People be hated. That's what it is.
But it's okay, though, because at the end of the day, I can always say, like, hey, I followed through. Here's my project. You may laugh at it. You may say it wasn't good. It wasn't up to standards of whatever you would think.
Your imaginary standards.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, there is something there that I can show up for. And that is going to get me a lot closer than
Let
just
me see your movie.
You know what I mean?
Because these are mine.
You know what I mean? And that's how it is. And
sometimes you got to just take a step back and talk your shit a little bit, because it's a way of showing appreciation for yourself.
Yeah.
You put in that time and effort, those countless hours in the editing and the filming and the,
crazy.
Eating by yourself and going to bed at 4 and taking a cat nap and waking up and going to do it all over again.
Yeah,
with the smile on your face. Then you're motivating other people and ensuring that every other person's morale and attitude and composure is all balanced. Making sure everybody's in place.
That's what you do. That's a director's job, I think. And,
the director's job.
I that's why it was such a big deal for me to say, all right, I'm gonna sit down.
Yeah.
Not
you earned that.
But because I'm gonna sit down.
Was that when you did sit down and did your thing, did it like hit you like this is years and years in the making?
Oh, absolutely. But
Yes.
it hits me, like I told you, I think the biggest time for me when it hits me, it's you open that box that I didn't even have a box before. I just had a little, like, now I have a case, right? Like a professional big case. Back then, when I bought I had those concert musician cases, those big ones that you can roll because I got
one?
Yeah. Because I got tired of like taking boxes in. I just push it now. You learn. But like for me, it's like before I just had a box, dude, like an actual Amazon brown box that you open with a slate on it, and that was it. That was the case I had for my slate. I change slates now many times because we worn them out and we use them a lot. But not every single one of those slates.
Hell yeah,
are
wore
in my
the
wall.
bitches out. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like now they're in my wall, and like the last project that I did is in my wall. And
that's an award to yourself. That's an
my
achievement.
Thing. That's when, like I say,
hell yeah,
those
dude.
6 months. Like right now, it doesn't make sense. Right now, I'm in a business mode. Oh, we gotta get the movie. I hope you like it. It's gonna be great. Motivated. Watch the trailer. All that stuff. I can sit down and talk about it. I didn't think your podcast was to do that type of commercial. For me, it's more like let's have a conversation, which is what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And that's why I appreciate the time. However, if I would have been in any other podcast, I would probably be like, yeah, in this lens and the feelings and the tones and the palette and stuff and all that stuff. For me, I'm not going to process all that until like 4 or 6 months from now. Like I said, when I have time to go sit down and write again and all this madness has happened, the movie did its thing, it's on Amazon Prime, it did whatever, and then I can look up and I can see that worn out slate and I can see memories of
all of that,
everything that happened. And I'm like, wow, we did that movie. You know? I just watched another filmmaker's movie and, I was like, oh, because I love supporting. I love watching, indie filmmakers. Like, if I had time, why not, bro? Like, watch it. Like, what's hurting you? It's okay. Watch it, right? And I got super hyped up, and it came to my ears, and it was like super amazing. And I was like, and I watched it, and I was like, well, okay, whatever. Then I went to edit, and I really felt like, wow, I have leveled up. Kind of what you were saying, where like my work, I've seen it for so long that it doesn't even feel like it's in that standard. But then you see it, I don't like to compare myself or compare anything to anybody, but you see other people's work and now you're like, I can see where I am. I can...
The growth, the difference level. You could say, you could reflect back and say, I remember when I was at that level and when my color grading got better, when I was using tonalities in certain scenes to drive emotion. That shit takes time.
But you gotta learn it, right?
Yeah.
And you know, nobody's. It's kind of like what they said with help. Like you can't help anybody until they're ready to be helped. It's the same idea here.
So they
right?
understand it.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, let me help you, but why? Instead of like any help, right? It's very different. But it's the same thing with like filmmaking. It's like you can't focus on that big camera or that big lens until you understand why you get in there, right? Like we're saying with all this equipment, like why the heck am I gonna get this really expensive stuff? And you know,
What is the difference?
What is the difference? You're still gonna like. I mean, you may now do the best work you can because you don't have that experience behind it to know that if I click this here, it might change the whole everything, right? So that's what I'm saying. I think at the end of the day, it's ultimately having that time to reflect. And I'll tell you, Levi, this project has hurt me. It's a lot of like blood and sweat in the film. There's a lot of me on it. Like I said, it's a little biography of my life for sure. Not necessarily as the movie goes, but you can see a lot of me.
Certain spots,
you know, yeah. And the coolest thing about that is, you know, I can understand that, and I'm working really hard to be able to enjoy that success of following through and releasing the film, regardless of how he does. And if he does great, amazing, and I would love for people to tell me what they think. But if he doesn't, that's okay. Because I made that with amazing people, and I met amazing people. Without that, I wouldn't be in this podcast, and potentially, you know, knowing I wouldn't know Cad, I wouldn't know anybody else that I had in this literally 4 or 5 months of that we know each other making the film and X, Y, and Z. You know?
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's how it
is. This journey is beautiful because of the people that you meet.
Absolutely,
the like-minded people are dope. You know, when you share a passion with somebody, or even if you meet somebody that has the fire and passion for something that is similar to you, you're on the same wavelength, and it's infectious. I want those people around me because I know they care and they're grinding to be a better person, or they're chasing something. I need that.
Yeah, they're always going to make you better. If you surround yourself with better than you, and you can take your ego aside and say, oh, yeah, that person's better than me. And then be like, hey, I want to be like
Help
you.
me.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing right? What are you doing right? Teach me.
That's why. So I used to talk about sports on the podcast only, but I shifted it to acting because I'm like, okay, I could get actors and producers and directors on, and I could pick their brains.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh!
I'm telling you, when you guys did the actor podcast,
I look at it actors on actors. You know,
I was like, oh, yes, that is true.
That's what I want to do going forward. In addition to, you know, just sitting down one-on-ones,
of course.
I want to do more for actors, but from the same movie. And then we could really dissect the film after it premieres and really talk about certain scenes and give backdrop and behind the scenes of what happened, what we were thinking, shit like that. And then I also want to cross and intermingle people that maybe never met each other and just from different movies, and we could just come and just share.
And that's the value that I found in doing things like this. And like I said, when I came in here, it was like I was really excited to have a conversation because sometimes we just need that. Like, there's a lot of things that Vegas filmmakers are holding back that I know that we're holding back, and we're just, you know, we don't want to say it because
we don't want to offend, or we don't want to be labeled.
And that's okay. Like, I don't think that anything that I said today was, you know, not the truth.
Oh, great conversation.
But I do think, like, with, you know, what I was saying with the LAs and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like,
fuck them.
There's things that we can do better, and I feel like if we were better as a community, you know, I absolutely would.
Yeah.
But that's what I think of. You know, it's how can you know, there's this really like funny, not funny, but something that people take it very political, and I don't. It's Kennedy in his speech saying, like, it's not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I apply that for like everything else in my life, where it's not what can this camera do for me, but what can you do for the camera? What can this director do for me? But what can I do to this director or for this director? What can this project give me? Because if you go in with the mentality of like, what am I going to get out of this? Probably nothing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, probably nothing. And you know, front center, probably nothing. There is not going to be a point in time where you're going to feel like, you know, I don't think there's been an actor that I known of who is gonna say, "Wow, there's I took so much out of this film. You know, I'm rich now. I don't got to do anything ever again. I don't think so. And if that's what you're following, that's probably
I feel like you shouldn't even want that.
Exactly.
I want to go get the next character and dive deep into that person and just go crazy. Because decompressing is rewarding, and now I get to go and just forget about the worries of Levi Taylor McDonald's life and go live out this person's life.
It's fantastic. Like, think about that. Like, as a kid, right? You always play like, oh, I want to be an astronaut, and I want to be a warrior, or you know, a cowboy, whatever.
And your fake training,
yeah,
and, you know, like the montage. You're doing the montage without even knowing.
Yeah, let's go. Right?
I was building my guns with blocks, and I'm fighting zombies
with woods
and shit.
And whatever.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's like what it taught us in wrestling. It's like, you know, I remember one of my first classes was like, how am I going to wrestle? And they just pretty much said, like,
figure it out?
No, have you ever done it before? Like a kid, just play wrestling. What do you mean play wrestling? Do you know how to play wrestle? Have you ever done that? Yeah, I did it when I was a kid. Same thing. Now you're just doing it professionally.
Yeah.
You know,
you gotta sell it better.
And there's obviously techniques and things that you have to follow. But it's the same thing with acting, right? It's like you can't. I one of the things that I'm definitely jealous about actors is that, you know, we create these worlds for you guys to just come and have fun and play on them. And, you know, like I said, this is one of the things why I love theater actors, because I'm like, dude, that wasn't the line, but I haven't said cut. So guess what you're going to do? You're going to grab the next line, or keep doing, or play with this, or improv, or give me more, or, you know, that's the filmmaking
I
thing.
love it. Dramatic.
Like, so what happens?
Absolutely dramatic. I plan on quitting my accounting job. Hopefully in the next couple years, and I want to go back to school for theater.
Okay, that's great.
Theater and just film. I want to minor in theater and major in film, and just learn color theory. Go and take more character developing classes, and just really submerge myself in all aspects of film. You know, I'm already recording, I'm already editing, I'm already doing those things. So I just want to keep learning. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I'm like infatuated with the process of learning it all.
Yeah, and obviously in that process you find people and you learn of more people, and one or two may share that same vision, and then you're gonna eventually create something that you'll be really, really proud of at some point. And that's the idea, you know. And that's like, I think that's the happy ending that we all want. But the reality is, if you shoot it on an iPhone, you're not gonna be the next anything right now.
You're not gonna be the next Spielberg
right now.
But you're on your way.
But you're on your way as long as you can follow through, commit, and move on to the next thing. Because apparently, for what I learned, actors need people that can commit and say, look, this is not my best work, but here's my work. Because for me, it's still crazy and bonkers that, you know, like, I trust you to show up, but you don't trust me that I'm going to deliver. Like, we're doing something wrong.
Yeah, there needs to be a bridge.
Like, as a community, we need to be like, it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? And I know there's a lot of people out there who are not clean and they don't do their stuff the way they need to. But at the end of the day, you know, we just got to keep hitting it and keep doing your thing, man.
Worry about yourself. Take care of yourself, and then just hope everybody else follows suit.
Absolutely.
You know, do your part. Do what you can control. You can't control other stuff outside the point. You know, just worry about you.
This is what you have right now.
Yeah.
Do that.
Show up, show out, be prepared. Know your lines.
That's crazy. I'm taking an acting class right now, actually. And boy, that's the hardest thing I had to go so far. You know, I can cry, I can, you know, crumble and do things and iron lines and things. They give me a script, a 4-page script, and I said, how many lines I have to, you know, and back to, you know, it was 4 pages, so it's 8. It's back to back. So it's like the pages, you know, double-sided. And I'm like, brother.
That's a lot.
But it's crazy because we as directors, we expect you, just the same way that you expect me to make the light and the set and the camera, we expect you guys to know
lines,
this, right? So it's like so crazy to be on that side right now and be like,
oh shit.
Like, it's so funny because you as a director, you know, or at least, you know, I try to know my full material up and down and know exactly, you know, I might not know when really, you know, detailed things come in because I don't have to know those detailed things. But I know when you're supposed to come in, when there is that starting line, that finish line, the triggerings and the ups and downs, and when you're coming in, and this is like what this he said, bun or bones or whatever. This is where the camera moves. Like, I know all that, my material as a whole. But it's very difficult to just learn like a little character and for 4 pages and be like, Oh.
Yeah, man.
So I see it, you know.
That's things like that. Why I learned why character development is so important, because if you have that character down,
It comes easy.
you just respond. You know what Jimmy's gonna say because you know Jimmy in and out. So if they say something to you and you don't really know where we're taking it, just listen and respond.
What's happening?
Yeah,
Oh,
listen
okay.
and respond.
We're
All
in a
of this,
bar. Got it.
be in the moment.
We're drinking. Got
Yeah.
it. Like, yeah, it's the
Drink.
places. You know, like, no, I mean, it's really simple. Like, I learned, another things that I learned throughout my career is like, you know, put them in like put an actor in a situation where they can perform. And what that means, it doesn't necessarily mean like, you know, you're making a space movie, put them in space. That doesn't mean that. But it does mean like, put it in a scenario where maybe you're uncomfortable. Maybe you are in one of those like jumping suits that you can't really move. Put him on the suit. You know, the costume tells a lot. Give him that comfort of like, you know, maybe if you're a wrestler and you're a masked wrestler, you know, maybe you're not as, you know, comfortable as the person who's not wearing anything, right? So now you got to figure out the mask and got to see through the eyes and then still perform and do all these other things, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not just making it look easy, but like when you live the character, right? Like you really get to like, oh, okay, well, I don't think he would do this. Why? Because he's wearing a mask, and he wouldn't just, you know. I created my mask to where it like open up like this, so I can just uncrap and I can talk and I can breathe. I have, you know, workers that their mask is like nothing, and then you put it like it's just completely covered, and then like the eyes are just like this
See-through,
laminated
yeah.
things that they're different colors. So you're watching the movie, the fight, the match. Sorry, because wrestlers will hate me if I say fight. The match, you will watch the match in like a filter. And nobody thinks of that unless you're the person wearing that mask.
Yeah.
Like, think about that, right? So that's character. You need to be the one wearing the mask in order to understand how that feels.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people don't give a lot of credit to body actors, you know, or stunt doubles. I mean, one of my favorite actors of all time is Doug Jones, which is the Pale Man for Pan's Labyrinth. He's also the amphibian from Hellboy. He's also in The Shape of Water. He's the fish man. Like, and what he brings to horror and to Guillermo movies, it's crazy because he's the Fauno in the Pan's Labyrinth. Like he has to perform with nothing. There's no lines. He's just a body.
Yeah.
And he needs to show you that he feels sad, that he feels happy, that he's gonna kill you, that he's gonna, you know,
Through
like
emotions.
through just the body, right?
Yeah,
and just
movements,
like, and he's
yeah.
not talking. So it's like,
How are you going to react to certain things? Are you going to shrug your shoulders? Are you looking down? Or is your chest pumped up? Is your chin up? Is your chin down? All of these things are going to reflect an emotion. Are you sad and depressed? All right. So you're walking down.
what are you doing? Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think stunt doubles, actors, body actors, creatures, all of you are actors because you act.
True, they have to truly understand the character.
You got to do it, man. You know, so that's my thing, you know, but that's how it is.
Yeah. Well, man, Joseph, I want to sum it up right there. We're around like 2.5 hours
Sorry,
in,
bro.
man.
You can cut it. Make
Yeah.
part 17.
Yeah, right. But one thing that I do every time I get a new guest on Talk Smack with Mac is I sit back, I be quiet for a second, and I give you the camera to let everybody know what you have coming next. Anything you haven't shared up until this point, this is your chance to shine. If you want to share social medias or anything like that, it's your chance.
Sure. Well, thank you for listening to this. I know there'll be some people out there who are definitely listening to this because there's a lot of people, and I talk a lot about this, and hopefully you can get some of them in here for the wrestling community and for filmmaking community. So you let me know on that. Things coming up, obviously, as we talk about, JD's is coming out very, very soon. We're thinking fall, hopefully before Thanksgiving. It should be coming out. Hopefully on Amazon Prime, but we haven't confirmed them until tomorrow. So you should go and watch it. Watch the trailer first. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you're interested. If you watch the trailer, you like the trailer, go watch the movie. That's how I think. Don't watch the movie because someone told you to go watch it. Watch it because you want to go and watch it. Mm-hmm. That's how it's going to be. You can find us on Afuf Productions. That's going to be A as an Apple, HW Productions. That will be our company Instagram. You can just go ahead and follow us there and obviously know whatever we're up to. We'll be dropping some cool stuff. We're going to do interviews for the cast and behind the scenes and all that stuff, bloopers, all like really good stuff from the movie that we're working on. I guess my main focus right now is just getting the movie released, followed through, getting that done. Hopefully the Vegas community not only likes it, but keeps pushing for more like us. Because that's what we need. We need people to keep pushing in and you know, show in, show out, make sure that we can all as a whole be like, I know that filmmaker, I want to make a movie with that filmmaker as a filmmaker, not necessarily as a, you know, as an actor, and hopefully break these walls and divisions of like, I'm better and you're better, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We all making the same thing. So let's just have fun with it. You know what I mean? And hopefully make something even better. So that's my thing. My name is Joseph Espinosa. So thanks for having me here, bro. I appreciate it a lot.
Oh, man, I appreciate it. That sums it up for this episode of Talk Smack with Mac. I appreciate all of y'all. Go watch our movies, man. Check us out. We appreciate you guys for watching. We're out.